thank you all for joining in today. Excited for what's up, Dugold? I see you. Who else did I miss? Sometimes it goes really fast. What's up, Zoe? Good to see you. Hey, Lonnie, good to see you as well. Rylene, I see you. I'm excited. Hey, Jen, good to see you. Yesterday was a lot. If you were in here for it, it was a lot. And that's okay. I think it was a lot for a reason, and it was worth it. Hey, Rachel, good to see you as well. Good morning, Ramona. And it was a lot. Yeah, Chef Ryan. Let me tell y'all know, when I got off here yesterday, I was like, I think I'm just going to go do some art. And I did eventually get to the art, but I sat down to eat a little bit, had some pita and some pine nut hummus, sat down on the couch and woke up about 90 minutes later. Yeah, Chef Ryan. Yeah, I think that was true for some people. Hey, Sylvia. What's up, Dale Graves? Hey, Tech Lady. And I woke up like 2 hours later and 90 minutes, 2 hours later, some shit like that. And it's okay. You know what I mean? It is okay. It is what it is. And, I'm okay with that. You missed it, Jen. I shared it across my socials. So what's up Within One Heart? So I shared it on my Substack. I also shared it on my Facebook. And also I just clipped just that section, and just that conversation is on the YouTube as well. So good morning, Cheryl. What's up, Cajun Lady? So if you missed it yesterday, you can watch it on those platforms. Thanks, Cantita. And listen all the way through, please. Yes. Please make sure that you listen all the way through, because the one with Sherry Blue Honey Pot. It was in total 49 minutes. I clipped that and then posted it and shared it. And then this morning I put out a little 3-minute clip for all the people who were talking shit in the comments who didn't bother to actually watch it at least halfway through. I had to just put those people in check as well, because remember, part of this journey that we are all on together requires that you take a look at you and see how much of the problem you are contributing to. What's up, Sharita? Right? So how much of the problem that exists are you contributing to? Are you exacerbating? Is your behavior, your language, your words, how much are you playing into that? And the bottom line is the ideologies and the unconscious and subconscious bias that every single person has doesn't get undone in a 5-minute, 10-minute conversation, right? What's up, Pin 1010? And so I understand that not everybody is willing to have a 40-minute conversation or an hour-long conversation with people. I don't expect everybody to do what I do, right? All I would like is that if you aren't doing what I'm doing, or you can't do what I do, then just don't do shit that negates it. Don't do things that set us back in the conversation, right? If you can't do it, just shh and watch. Just shh and watch, because this is what needs to be done. We can't say we want people to get it and then think that people are supposed to get it in 5 or 6 minutes. It's just an unrealistic expectation, right? Good morning, CJ. Good morning, Joanna. And so I think that that's incredibly important, that we remember that people don't get. You don't undo decades upon decades of learning and taking in what society teaches you, and be able to deconstruct and unpack that all in like 10 minutes. It doesn't happen. Good morning. I am not sure. Glad to see you. So it's just important for people to, in my opinion, understand that. Right. Good morning, Winn-Dixie. And let me just say this. This is what I've said this a lot. I've said to people, good morning, Jen. Appreciate you, Jen. Yesterday. And I say this a lot about Sherry. Listen, I don't have to agree with Sherry at the start of our conversations or at all, right? What I will say is I appreciate her willingness to not only speak her mind and her thoughts and her beliefs, but be willing to get on the panel and sit in very tough, very uncomfortable conversations until we gain some sort of understanding, right? And not everybody's willing to do that. Good morning, Junior, right? There are other people like the dude that we had before Sherry, who just didn't like facts at all, who wasn't open to anything, who just wanted to dig his heels in and say, no, it's this way, even though the facts clearly said, no, it's not that way, right? Yes, Michael. I was trying not to speak him. Michael today is like Voldemort. He is the name we do not speak. Salam, Astrid. And so, this is the second really intense conversation I've had with Sherry. If you all remember, the very first one that I had with Sherry was, it was around we talked about a couple of different things, but it started out being it was about transgender individuals, and there was a conversation about bathrooms and this and that, and it was a rough conversation too. That conversation, I called Sherry a bigot twice, like to her face, but not in a condescending way. It was because I wanted to label the behavior that she was demonstrating. Right. Good morning, Cam. Grammy, I wasn't disappointed she came up on the panel. Why would you be disappointed that she came up on the panel? Like, for me, like, I think it's absolutely wild to be disappointed in someone who's willing to have the conversation. And I think, please don't put links in my deal. Don't put links in you're going to be blocked. Bye. Let me just say this, you guys. You're saying you were disappointed in her, but that's just crazy too, Grammy. Hey, what's up, Macaroni? And this is my thing, you guys. To say that you are disappointed in someone, that means you have set an expectation. You have an expectation of that person. And you have to ask yourself, who told you to have that expectation of her? Buenos dias, Mr. Barrios, right? We talk about this all the time. If you tell someone you're disappointed in them, that means you had an expectation. Hey, Christian from Croatia, good to see you. You had an expectation of them. And so you have to ask yourself, did that person agree to that expectation that you set? Is that your friend? Do you know them out? Have you developed a relationship where you have the right to have an expectation of them? This is how we get ourselves in trouble with each other. This is how we set ourselves back. But you get what I'm saying, Grammy? It's like, we've got to not set expectations of people and understand that people are learning. People are discovering things. What's up, Big C? People are discovering things at their own time, at their own pace. Appreciate you, Carla. In their own way. And what we can't do is say, well, I'm disappointed in you, because that's not very helpful. You know what I mean? So, I would just say, take a beat, take a breath, and just remember that everybody is. So this is probably right. Sherry on the panel again for the second time. Good morning, Bernard. I knew she would. I really thought she would, because if you remember, Sherry almost butted heads with me after CK was taken out. Yeah, Sherry is always brave, right? And she also feels deeply. She's also intense. And it's because of the fact that she's passionate about those things. That's what makes our conversations so all that they are. And it's her commitment to the belief that enables us to dig in and do the work. There are some people that just want to argue because they want to be right. When you are working from a place of, I want to understand, that's when really good stuff happens, right? So, just saying. Right. And that's what she said. She said, I'm trying to understand. Okay. And you know what I mean? And we're going to get there. And that's why I encourage people, watch all the way through, even if you have to watch all the way through in bits and pieces. Hey, Scott, right? Oh, you don't got to apologize, Grammy. You don't got to apologize, girl. Yeah, understanding isn't agreeing. Understanding isn't agreeing. But here's let me just say this to you all. When you go into conversations and the goal is agreement, everyone is going to be defensive, because who wants to be told you're wrong? Who wants to be sold on someone else's idea? Nobody, right? So the idea is, I'm not going into conversations trying to get you to agree with me. I'm going to conversations looking for understanding, because when we meet at the place of understanding, you can get all kinds of things from there. There are many things that I agree with, that I understand, that I don't agree with. Okay, there are many things that I understand that I don't agree with, that I would never do. So I'll give you an example. So back after George Floyd was murdered, and property was getting lit up, and people were in the streets, and there were different things going on. I had somebody say, "Oh, so you support the destruction of property?" And here's my response to that. A, um, I do not support violence at all. I understand it, though. I understand how violence happens. I understand how riot happens. I understand how those things happen. It doesn't mean that I advocate for them or that I support them. I understand them, right? So while I personally might not, set your building down and burn it on fire, while I might not do that, I understand how somebody else might get to that place. But Rudin, even if you say to people, those are straw man attacks, if you just say to someone, "Oh, that's a straw man argument," you're not going to get anywhere in that conversation, because now you're telling them that that's not a real thing. What I would rather do, good morning, Amy. What I would rather say is, listen, I don't have to condone something, advocate for something, agree with something to be able to understand it, right? And if we just break that down on the most basic levels, right? I don't agree with slashing that joker's tires. I understand how you might have gotten there. I'm just kidding. Hey, Chris. But you get what I'm saying, right? I don't agree with a lot of different things, but I understand. And understanding is the beginning. Understanding is the beginning of how we shift perspectives together. Understanding, if I understand how and why you are the way you are, or how you were thinking the way that you were thinking, then it allows me a different space to be able to navigate with you and to go with you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's really important that we go for that. Got you, Cam. Appreciate you. So folks that are on the Tick of the Talk, thank you guys for going up there, hitting your daily heart me, hitting it again and grabbing your points. After you comment, grab your points. If you gift, grab your points. Appreciate you for doing all the TikTok things. Liking and sharing the live. You can share the live. You can also add the live to your story on TikTok, on all the other places, right? Appreciate you for commenting, engaging, liking, and sharing, because all of it helps, right? Do you guys want to know a shocker? Do you guys want to know something that's pretty wild and awesome at the same time? So the clip that I told you it's a 49-minute damn clip, this conversation that I had with Sherry yesterday. And I put that clip up on Substack, YouTube, and Facebook, right? And then I want you all to understand, do you know that on Facebook it has, I'm super shocked at it getting the views and the watches and the interaction that it did on Facebook, because that tends to be one of the most right-leaning, unflinching kind of spaces. And this morning when I first woke up, it had like 7,000 views, and I just put it up late last night, right? It's that's encouraging to me. It makes me kind of happy that that in on that platform it's doing that well, you know? So that's pretty cool. All right. So I do want to level set today and talk about something because yesterday we talked about the DOJ um, um, policy for, yeah, Rudin. We talked about the DOJ policy around use of deadly force. And Dusty over on Facebook was like, this is great info. But remember, ICE isn't DOJ, they're DHS. And I don't know where my brain was yesterday. But he's right. They are actually DHS. So, you know me, I went and pulled up the DHS use of force policy. And as you might imagine, it's a little more nuanced. Good morning, Wawa. It's a little more nuanced than the DOJ one is just straightforward. And still brings us to the same conclusion, pretty much. So, what's up, Katrina? So, I want to go over the DHS use of deadly force policy. And then I want to speak really, really briefly about this particular ICE agent having been drugged by a car a couple of years ago, this, that, and the other. And people are saying, oh, well, that's what makes his actions understandable. Actually, that's what makes his actions even more questionable, because that means after that experience, he went through psychological training. He went through other types of training to ensure that he understood the risks and how that happened the last time, and that he was well enough to be back into duty. You know, if you're not well enough mentally, psychologically to be able to be back in similar situations, then you shouldn't be there, right? Julia J, I haven't looked it up yet, right? So I think that it's really important for people to understand that his previous experience actually works against him, because he would know not to do that, right? So just a reminder of those types of things, okay? So now let me ask you, if you are new to this space, if you have never been in my live before, do me a favor and put a 1 in the comments. Well, lovely Ginger, he should have, right? Because that's typical. After you're injured, you know, on the force, you have to go through that type of deal. Candy kiss, whatever, girl. So welcome to all the new folks. Hayes girl, Kate with the Kates, Cat with the Cats. I don't know why I said Kate girl, Cat with the Cats. Hey, Judy. Welcome to you new folks. It is good to see you popping up in here. Hopefully you will like the room, like the content, like the discussion, and choose to follow. The reason I ask that question is because I like to level set. I want people to know the type of room that you're in, so that you know if this is the right space for you, okay? So up at the very top, I have 4 guidelines. If you're looking over here, they're over here. If you're on TikTok, my main TikTok, hey, Sherry, good to see you. They're right here. So 1, I ask that you be respectful, not just to me, but also to the people on the panel and the people that are in the chat. Be respectful. Number 2, don't use slurs of any kind. If you use slurs in this space, you will get muted and booted from this live, because I don't do slurs. Number 3, don't spam my comments. What does that mean? It means don't say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Say what you got to say, and then, you know, say something different, because A, it hurts the algorithm, and B, it clogs up the comments, right? And then 4 is don't type in all caps. And the reason for that is because all caps is reserved for moderators and my folks that are vision impaired. So I have some folks that I know for sure are vision impaired, and all caps are reserved for those individuals. Okay. So, you know, just be respectful of other people and their abilities and disabilities, right? Just be a decent human being. Those are 4 things that aren't that hard to do, right? So it's just that simple. Okay. If you can't do those things and you want to act like a petulant child, you will be muted and booted, not because anybody's a crash out liberal, but because you're being an asshole and you can't be that in my space. Remember, you guys, Deal with me and not the trolls. I got them. I got them. You deal with me. I got them. Okay? It's just that simple. Yeah, of course they're going to. Ginger, they do it all the time, and that's okay. You know, baby carrot energy is what it is. I don't expect everybody to be a grown ass adult. Okay? It's just that simple. All right. So, first things first, I want to start by going over this DHS department policy on the use of force. This policy was issued on September the 7th of 2018 under the first Trump administration, right? And I'm gonna go over the standard and then the general principles, because those are kind of like the main things that we want to be taking a look at. Lisa, I know you're not doing it. Lisa, I know you are not engaging with the trolls. I know you're not. I know you're not. I know you're not. You can't be. Not possibly. What in the hell, y'all? What in the absolute hell? It is not hard. Put on your blinders. Good Lord. Yeah, Cam, I had already blocked his ass, and she's still talking back to him. All right. So, and yes, this is already in the link tree, folks. Okay. For anybody that doesn't know, it's already in the link tree so that you have access to it. And you're able to see it yourself. Okay. So it says point 2 is the use of force standard. And this is specifically for the Department of Homeland Security. You ready? And it says A is introduction. In determining the appropriateness of a particular use of force, the department is guided by constitutional law as interpreted by the Supreme Court. The Fourth Amendment supplies a constitutional baseline for permissible use of force by law enforcement officers in the course of their official duties. Law enforcement agencies may adopt policies that further constrain the use of force. This policy describes the governing legal framework and articulates additional principles to which the department will adhere. B, here's the general statement from the Department of Homeland Security. It says, unless further restricted by DHS component policy, DHS law enforcement officers are permitted to use force to control subjects in the course of their official duties as authorized by law and in defense of themselves and others. In doing so, a law enforcement officer shall use only the force that is objectively reasonable in light of the facts and circumstances confronting him or her at the time the force is applied. C, discussion. Fourth Amendment reasonableness standard. Okay. Number 1, the Supreme Court has ruled that, quote, all claims that law enforcement officers have used excessive force, deadly or not, in the course of an arrest, investigatory stop, or other seizure of a free citizen should be analyzed under the Fourth Amendment and its reasonableness standard. Hey, David, this standard is an objective one that in the context of use of force policy and practice is often referred to as objective reasonableness. 2, because this standard is, quote, not capable of precise definition or mechanical application, its, quote, proper application requires careful attention to the facts and circumstances of each particular case, end quote. The reasonableness of a law enforcement officer's use of force must be judged, quote, from the perspective of a reasonable officer on the scene, rather than with the 2020 vision of hindsight, end quote. In determining whether the force a law enforcement officer used to effect a seizure was reasonable, courts allow for the fact that law enforcement officers are often forced to make split-second judgments in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving. 3. Consequently, there may be a range of responses that are reasonable and appropriate under a particular set of circumstances. 4. Good morning, Rebel. Once used, physical force must be discontinued when resistance ceases or when the incident is under control. Now, this next part's really important because this lays the foundation for the rest. And all of those quotes that I gave you are actually from specific cases and Supreme Court rulings. Okay. And so when you talk about from a legal argument, that's what the lawyers will get into in court, right? But this is the rest of the policy. It says general principles: A, respect for human life. So all DHS personnel have been entrusted with a critical mission, safeguarding the American people, our homeland, and our values. Which, if I were to pause right there, what's up, Kat? The first thing that I would say is, what are our values? I don't believe that word should be included there, because the Department of Homeland Security doesn't safeguard our values. Your values and my values may be different. Values is a personal choice. Values are subjective. Values vary across all of those things. I disagree. I disagree when you talk about we should share values. In what way? Yeah. Yeah, I disagree. I think you build relationships with people that you share values with. Let me just go ahead and invite you to the panel because it's easier to have a conversation that way. I'm live on other platforms, so they don't read your comments. So if you can join the panel, it makes it easier. What's up, Mama Dukes? I sent you an invitation. You should be able to just accept it and then be able to join the panel. Can you woo woo? You said that? Did you see the invitation to join the panel? You should be able to just click accept and it'll bring you right up to the panel. Well, that's the way I read the name. It has an exclamation point. It says, woo, you said what? And so, like, that's the way I read it, with the exclamation point. Remember, you guys, you got to let me deal with them. You got to let me deal with the people. You don't dox law enforcement officers, Stephanie. Law enforcement officers don't get doxxed. We don't have secret law enforcement, right? We don't have secret law enforcement. There's no such thing as doxing police officers. They are public servants. Yeah, unless you're in the CIA. Yeah, but ICE is part of the Department of Homeland Security. They are federal agents. They're not FBI, but they are federal agents. And so, yeah, no, I know that they wear masks, but that doesn't mean that if you share their identity, you are doxing them. That's not what that means. You don't dox an ICE agent. They're government. They work for the government. Clear, Chris, I didn't delete you yesterday, so I don't know what you're talking about. So listen, when you say they shared his address, do you know if his address was a matter of public record property prior to that? What's up, Living with the Louds? What are you talking about? TikTok's crazy these days. I think something's wrong with the algorithm. Right. So this is my thing. You don't know if his address was already a matter of public record, which it very well may be. Okay. So I want to, yeah. So um, I want to go ahead and go back to this DHS. Okay. Um, who's complaining about ICE wearing masks? Yeah, people can wear masks, but citizens that wear masks aren't walking around detaining people. Yes, Steffi G. Wu never found their way to the panel. Appreciate it, Rajesh. Let me just be very clear about something, y'all. Okay, and if you would like to have the conversation, then feel free to join the panel. Like seriously, as you all have seen, I'm more than happy to have this conversation. Appreciate it, vibing. Hope you are as well. So have at it, folks, if that's what you would like to do. So let me be clear. When you say things like doxing ICE agents, they are federal agents. Having their name, that's not doxing them. If the Department of Homeland Security shared their name and the address, that's still not doxing them. They just shared the information, which I would imagine that they have whatever reason to do so, and it may or may not be a matter of public record, right? So if the government agency that he works for shares his information, doesn't have anything to do with it. Stephanie, my name's Dani. Please don't call me girl. Please don't call me girl. That no girl thing, please don't do that. So what I would here's what I think would be helpful, Stephanie, is I'm just going to go ahead and send you an invitation to join the panel. Because like I said, everybody else is already is on other platforms, and so they don't see the conversation in the chat. So it's better for everyone if you come to the panel and you're answering me verbally so other people can hear you. And then we're going to finish going through the DHS use of force policy and what is required for us to get all the way through it. And I have a hard stop today at 2:05, so I want to get to the business and get it done. I'm not sure what you mean you don't have a mic. I'm not sure what that means. And to be frank, I don't really care whether DHS doxed him or not. I don't care. It's not relevant to me. I care that that an ICE agent murdered an innocent person in front of the entire country. That's what I care about. That's where my focus is. Glorious Blue, don't do that. If she apologizes, let her apologize. Right? All right. So let me keep going. What's up, Lester? Good morning, friend. Good to see you. All right. So, yeah. So here we go. Again, Stephanie, it would be great if you join the panel, because if you're on a phone, you have a mic. If you're on a laptop, you have a mic. I'm not sure how you're on TikTok without a mic. You don't appear to be shy. You're doing great in the comments. You're talking a lot. But what I'm not going to be able to do is to keep having a conversation with you in the comments, because there are people in many other places that don't get to that don't see your words. So I am live on my main TikTok account. Here, accept the invitation. I just sent it to you again. All you have to do is click accept. Cam, Sandy, Lisa, can somebody help Stephanie? You should just click accept. You should be able to hit the little blue and pink people at the bottom of the screen. You should be able to do that. Even on a tablet. Right. It shows she's been invited. Right. There at the bottom of your screen on the tablet, there are blue and pink people. Click the blue and pink people and it'll bring you up. That's all you have to do. She can come to the panel without followers. That's not a requirement. She just can't turn on her camera, which I'm not asking her to do. Okay. While Stephanie figures out how to join the panel, I'm going to go to the bottom of page 2 on the Department of Great. Yep, I'll wait for you to get your phone. When we were at the bottom of page 2 of the Department of Homeland Security's use of deadly force policy, it says A, respect for human life. All DHS personnel have been entrusted with a critical mission, safeguarding the American people, our homeland, and our values. 100%, I don't believe that values needs to be included in there, because I don't necessarily share your values. And you don't need to safeguard my values. I live my values, and my values are personal. My values are private. They don't have shit to do with DHS in any way, shape, or form. Good morning, Jamie. Good to see you. Right? In keeping, okay, Stephanie's with me. All right. So what were you saying, Steph? Stephanie? Stephanie? I can't hear you. Okay. I can't hear you. You may need to check your settings on your phone. Yeah, she's not muted at all. My volume is completely up. It's her we can't hear. So what my thought process is, you can hear her background noise. I can't hear shit. I don't hear anything from her. It sounds like air. All right, hold on. I'm going to take her down and bring her back. Jesus. TikTok needs to stop messing with things. They jacking up their own stuff. Let me see if I see her real quick. Steffi, comment so I can bring you back up, please. Shut up, Red Hot. Okay, thank you. Now click accept. Are you on headphones? Are you still on with your tablet too? I'm gonna let you sit on the panel while you try to figure it out. If you need to like get off of your tablet and log all the way off, see if you're on headphones, get off of those, see if that's a problem. That's what I would. Dilgrave, don't do that. That's not helpful. None of that's helpful, y'all. Be respectful, or y'all know the drill. Be respectful. This is not difficult. And you can also put your phone on speaker. See if that helps. Okay. So while she does that, I want to read this. It says, in keeping with this mission, respect for human life and the communities we serve shall continue to guide Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officers in the performance of their duties. And then B, it says de-escalation to ensure that DHS law enforcement officers are proficient in a variety of techniques that could aid them in appropriately. Yeah, I asked about the microphone permission too. In appropriately resolving an encounter, DHS components shall provide use of force training that includes de-escalation tactics and techniques. It gives use of safe tactics, additional considerations, and then it gives warnings. And this is the part that I think is important. I want to go to warnings for a second so that you, well, let me back up. It says DHS law enforcement officers should seek to employ tactics and techniques that effectively bring an incident under control while promoting the safety of law enforcement officers and the public, and that minimize the risk of unintended injury or serious property damage. Department of Homeland Security law enforcement officers should also avoid intentionally and unreasonably placing themselves in positions in which they have no alternative to using deadly force. It might sound like they said, don't stand your ass in front of a car. D, additional considerations. DHS law enforcement officers are permitted to use force that is reasonable in light of the totality of the circumstances. This standard does not require law enforcement officers to meet force with equal or lesser force. Glorious Blue, I don't know who you're talking about when you say they. And then it says DHS law enforcement officers do not have a duty to retreat to avoid the reasonable use of force, nor are they required to wait for an attack before using reasonable force to stop a threat. Warnings. When feasible, prior to the application of force, a DHS law enforcement officer must attempt to identify him or herself and issue a verbal warning to comply with the law enforcement officer's instructions. In determining whether a warning is feasible under the circumstances, a law enforcement officer may be guided by a variety of considerations, including but not limited to whether the resulting delay is likely to A, increase the danger to law enforcement officers or others. I can hear you now. Look at that.
Yay.
Yep, I got you.
I'm really
Mirabelle,
sorry about that,
I
Dani,
see
that's the
you.
first time I've ever done it.
Gotcha. Well, welcome. Glad you got it figured out.
So the only thing I was just talking about DHS
Yep.
doxing for is because there's a lot of blame that like the Democrats are doxing him, and it's not true. It's actually DHS that put out his initial information, name, address, which then other people online then found like his social medias and stuff. That's all I was saying. I wasn't trying to be contradictory or anything.
Right. Yeah. So here's my thing. I think that so one of the things that we talk about a lot in this space is just not amplifying the lie, right? So one of the things that you hear me, I'm not even talking about who did or didn't dox him, because to be honest, I don't even care. The girl is dead. If you got doxed, you just got doxed. You murdered someone. You murdered an innocent woman in front of the entire country. Bro, if you got doxed, you just got doxed. That meant karma worked really, really fast.
That's I'm not mad about it.
Right. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I get it. That I feel that way too. That, you know, like when there's like fake AI videos put out, and I go on there and I'm like, even if it's our side, even if it's the left side,
yeah,
I always check, because there is false information that's put out on both sides. I feel it's more from one side, but
so let me just say this: there's false information being put out by people who don't belong to any side.
True.
And I think that this is what people need to step back from and understand, is that fake information, disinformation, misinformation comes not just from one quote unquote side or the other. It comes from people that benefit from the division between the sides.
Right.
Yeah, alaikum salam Aben Gaza, right? And so it's just really important. So when I talk, I try to not say this side or that side, because for me, the only sides that really exist are regular average American citizens and the 1%. Those are the only sides, right?
Yes, and it's true, and I try to stay away from that kind of thinking as well.
Right.
But like I find myself, you know, there's so much misinformation out there, you know, and it's with AI, it's so hard to discern what's real and what's not real. And I think it's AI is being weaponized as propaganda, because they're putting out, like, they put out the wrong name for somebody. I don't know who they is, but somebody put out like the wrong name and an AI picture of Jonathan Ross with his mask off,
yeah,
and gave him a different name.
Yeah.
And you know, it's AI, so it looks like it could, you know, so it's,
yeah. NPR did an article about that AI generated photo of him without the mask, and so this is one of, I think this is why, so I spent a year and a half attending the open meetings for the FTC, and doing that, you get to hear a lot of different topics that have come up, and the use of AI is a huge one. The current administration happens to support fewer regulations where AI is concerned. I think that AI should be well regulated to avoid the stuff that's happening now.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, people are the big beautiful bill. There's so many things written in that bill that people don't know. And I know it's more known now, but 10 years of no regulation on AI federally, that's not good.
Right. Well, yeah, there were things in that bill that wanted AI to, they actually wanted it originally for that bill to make it so that states couldn't regulate AI in a way that the federal government didn't. So, you know, there's an issue with that. So, but I appreciate you coming up and clarifying and figuring out how to get on a panel too.
Thank you. I did. I like I said, it's the first time, so I was just like, what is going on? But
no worries.
I got here.
Yay, appreciate it.
Thank you for having me up. And I did just want to clarify, like, I wasn't I'm on the side that American citizens and immigrants and everybody should be treated fairly and honestly, and that our greatest strength is our diversity. It's the American people is everybody. Like, that's the America I cherish and want back. And not that it was ever perfect, but there just seems to be so much hate.
So here's what I would say about that is I would love to see that America simply exist, because it hasn't existed.
Right.
The difference right now is that things are more vocal than they were for 50 years, right? That's all. When it became socially unacceptable and politically unacceptable to be racist, bigoted, misogynistic, sexist out loud, people were still that way. They just didn't talk about it out loud. Now people are talking about it out loud again, and it makes it seem like, oh my God, things are so hateful. People,
because this administration gives them permission,
but
it makes it right. Not like, hey, go do that. But I feel like in this administration, there are certain things, obviously, that are racist within it. I feel the whole ICE and immigration. We had other presidents that have done even more deportations. And not that I agree with, I don't know the circumstances, but I also know that during those presidencies, ICE wasn't shooting mothers in the face because she wanted to get away from masked men.
Right. So what I can share you, hold on a second, Hoshman. Hold on. I'm going to get to you in just one moment. What I will say about other presidents and other deportations, right? The number of deportations in and of itself isn't the issue. It is the method of deportations. It is how they are being done. It is that's what makes a big difference. And so, like, for example, a lot of people like to bring up the fact that Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump, and he did. And he caught a shit ton of heat for it. His administration faced lawsuits. And the reason why those lawsuits weren't successful is because at the time, oh my God, what's it called? Early removal. What am I talking about? Hold on a second. Hold on. It is the expedited removal. I had the E right and couldn't figure out what word I wanted. It's called expedited removal. Thank y'all. I was like, I know it ain't early. Why did I get early? But expedited removal is the mechanism that Barack Obama used for his administrations and for his deportations. And at that time, so expedited removal is part of our immigration law. That particular policy has been modified a couple of times. The last two times, most significantly, under the Trump administration. So, like, it was modified in 1996. It was modified by Trump during his first term, and then it was modified by him in this administration as well. So, it used to mean that if you were in this country and you were here illegally, you were undocumented, you were unauthorized. If you were here 2 weeks or less and you were still within 100 miles of the border and you were taken into custody, you could be immediately deported and you did not have to have due process, right? Because you'd been here for 2 weeks or less, you were still within 100 miles of the border. Therefore, you could just be deported and you didn't have to get a court date. And at the time, the ACLU sued the Obama administration and said, under the Constitution, everybody has a right to due process. But that's why that occurred and how that occurred. That then got extended to 2 years, and within so many miles, then it was no matter how many years, no matter where you are, you can be expedited without due process. And that's why you see that before the court system the way that it is. So
let's get rid of the 14th Amendment while we're at it, right?
Yeah, don't get rid of any of them. Matter of fact, we need to shore them up. I know you're being facetious. I know you're being facetious, but I appreciate you. So thanks a lot, Steph.
Thank you for having me up, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome back anytime.
Appreciate it.
Yep. All right. So Hoshman, I think it's Hoshman. I hope I'm saying that properly. So is this your first time in my live?
Yes, it is.
Great. Okay. So yeah, I'm glad she made it up too, Cam. So what I usually do when I have folks that are joining for the first time, and have never been on panels, I just go over the guidelines, right? So welcome to the live. This is not a debate live, are you live, a whatever live. We like to have respectful, fact-based conversations. No use of slurs. People in the comments have to be respectful as well. Don't spam the comments, folks, and don't type in all caps, because all caps are reserved for moderators and folks that are vision impaired. So yeah. So you made the statement about her being innocent, and you said she hit him with her car and did A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. And you said, so how is that innocent, with a question mark, correct?
I did. I was just going to state that, misinformation works both ways. It doesn't just work on one way. And it seems as if the people that are saying that she's innocent, isn't it true that it could be based on misinformation as well?
So when I use the term innocent, the term that I'm using is a legal term. And so in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Okay, well, what I mean by that is, so you don't know that she was innocent. Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, I do. You have the presumption of innocence until you are proven that you're not.
Even though that what I'm saying is that you have body cam footage. So the facts are going to come out. Forget all the other videos that can be AI, but all the officers are wearing body cam footage. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around that you think that she was completely innocent if she was interfering. It's just based on this premise. She's interfering with an active investigation. At a previous location, she was yelling at the ISIS officers. She follows them down and cuts them off in front of them and puts her car at an angle in front of the street. The officers get out of their car because she's obstructing their active investigation. They go to the car and ask her to get out of the vehicle. She refuses, backs the cars up, and then moves forward and hits a peace officer in the front with his car. At that point, those officers have no idea what her intent is. Let's just play this scenario out. He runs over she hits the cop officer, and he could have gotten hurt, or he could have even been killed, because he did hit her. Based on, if you see the camera on their officer's body, and they let her go. Oh, she's innocent. We need to let her go. And she goes down the street and runs over 10 other people because she's a crazy woman.
Okay,
what would you say then if she just, that happens? It happened in New Orleans.
Okay,
they run down the street and murdered people with a crazy woman. They're trying to control the situation, find out what's going on. Why is she so actively against them? And for you to tell me she's completely innocent, I can't wrap my mind around it. I just can't.
So here's what I'm going to say is, number one, to my knowledge, there has been no release of body cam footage from the ICE agent. None.
But if that was the preface, I'm saying if you
but we're not doing an if, because here's the thing that I like. Here's the thing that I have to. Hoshman, please don't interrupt. I did not interrupt you.
Okay.
Great. So you are adding in a whole lot of speculations, right? And so I'm not doing that. What I'm going to do is.
We all are.
This is the reason why I go over the guidelines for new people.
I did not cuss.
I didn't ask you not to curse. I asked you to be respectful and not interrupt me. And you just did it again right after I said it the first time. And I did not interrupt you. Okay, so here's the thing. There has been no body cam footage released from this event. None whatsoever. There have been multiple angles of video footage released. Okay. And the things that matter about the video, right? And all the videos and the entire incident is I just want to be clear that you don't use, well, let me ask you this, if I may. Have you ever been law enforcement, or have you ever been in the military?
I've never been either, but I've been pulled over by the police.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm a veteran, and so here's what I would tell you is that we don't determine the use of deadly force based on possible scenarios that we don't have any evidence or any proof of. So, like when we meet people, we don't go, oh, well, you could be a crazy woman that might go down the street and run over 11 people, so I'm going to kill you first. Like, that's not the standard for police officers. That's not the standard for law enforcement officers. That's not the standard for military personnel. That's not the standard. The standard isn't, oh, you could be any of those things, right? So I'm just going to unalive you first and foremost. No, that's not the way we do things, right? So you have to choose the measure of force that you used based on the facts that exist and the environment that you're in at that particular time. And so here's what we know. The scenario of her being told, number one, there are multiple officers around, and we know that she's waving some people around her. We know that she's saying something. She's being told to leave by one person. She's being told to get out the car by another person. And this happens a lot in police situations where you have multiple officers on a scene and they're yelling different instructions to people. And for those officers, for those federal agents, that is their day-to-day environment. For the average civilian, that is not their day-to-day environment. It is not their day-to-day experience to be in their car, to have multiple armed agents around their car yelling different instructions, right? And whatever. So her backing up that car, because it is, if you watch the video frame by frame, where you can clearly see him to the front side of the car, when she's backing up and she puts her foot on the brake, right, he immediately draws his weapon and fires on her. Now, the thing why that is just not a smart thing to do is that, number one, is when you draw your weapon and you fire in that manner and somebody is behind the wheel of a vehicle, you are actually increasing the odds that she is going to hurt someone else, because you have now injured a person who is behind the wheel of a vehicle, right? So the probability, right, that person now wrecks that vehicle, whether it's with the parked car like she did, or whether it's other officers on the street or other bystanders on the street, you don't know, because you cannot control that car. There is a higher probability that someone is going to be hurt additional, right, than if you simply let her drive away. Because at that time, here's what we know. We know that they have the car license plate. They know how to find the driver of this car, right? Allowing her, who's not a threat to anyone else, allowing her to leave the scene, obtaining a warrant, and then going back for her for obstructing their investigation or whatever. That is the reasonable, safest response to that situation.
Okay, can I say something real quick?
Sure.
That's your premise. That's the premise that you've seen, that you're watching with your eyes. There's also another premise, and let me ask you, since you know about law enforcement. That officer, what I saw, he didn't draw his weapon until the car started moving forward. And if you're a peace officer and you're in front of the vehicle, he was trying to get out of the line of fire, just in case there was violence coming, and you see a car coming right at you after being told to stay. And isn't it possible that he perceived that as being an imminent threat to his own body, because he thought she was going to try to run over him? And this is a split second. you're making judgments on half second by half second slow mo video. These guys don't have that chance. They have families to go home to too.
And this is why, because they do have families to go to, this is why they need to be well trained. This is why
does an officer have the right to defend himself if a vehicle is coming toward him to run over him?
An officer does not have the right to put himself in the line of danger and then use that. So let me just say this. If you look, so it literally says it. So when you read the policies for use of force, whether you're reading the DOJ or whether you're reading the DHS, when you talk about this federal agent, right? What he doesn't get to do is put himself in front of a moving vehicle and then say, I had to kill you because but it was.
It was stopped. He was approaching it, coming from a different angle.
Here's my thing.
And it was stopped, and it didn't start moving until she decided to run.
Hoshman, hold on a second. Listen, when she's in the vehicle and she puts it in reverse, he walks in front of the car while she's backing up. Hold on. While she's backing up, he walks in front of the vehicle. Everyone who watches that video shows that. When she backs up, he walks in front of the vehicle. When she backs up, that's when he places himself in front of her vehicle. So here's the thing. Hold on. You do not get to put yourself in front of a vehicle because you think your physical presence there should keep her from moving it and then say, oh, I had to shoot you because you pulled out your car and went around me. And by the way, I know the video that you're referring to, right? Where it says, quote unquote, she hit him. The reality is that she wasn't going at she literally had barely put that car in drive to move forward, right?
Her tires spun.
So again, it doesn't matter. If your tires spin on ice and snow, you're not building speed. And I lived in Alaska for 2 years. It was my last duty station. When your tires spin on ice and snow, you're not building speed.
You're also not going anywhere when you press your foot on the accelerator.
Again, Hoshman, there is no justification in this circumstances for the use of deadly force.
Well,
There's just not. Because the reality is
the split second if a car is coming.
It's not a split second. Here's my thing. It's not a split second. She was there for a very long time. This is not a split second. And here's my thing. I'm so over people using this split second decision to excuse law enforcement from killing people. If you don't know how to use critical thinking and be well versed in your training to not take the life of people when your life is not in danger, and there's a difference. And so I want to be clear. There is a difference, right? Because when you say his life is on the line, that's every damn day, then don't sign up to be a police officer. Don't sign up to be a police officer.
Well, I've got one last point. I wish you were as animate about how bad a police job work that they did. But I wish you were as animate about telling people when you get pulled over by a police officer, just conform. Do the right thing. You don't say anything about that.
So Hoshman,
hold on, let me finish. Don't run from the police. Just get out of the car and do exactly what they ask you. They're not there to hurt you.
I covered this yesterday in great detail.
I'm just saying,
Hoshman, hold on. I'm going to
to
speak to that. I'm going to speak to this.
Let your people know that conform to your police officer
I'm
and do what they
going to speak to this because I addressed this at great length yesterday. Okay. Someone not obeying an ICE agent or a police officer does not mean you get to kill them. It's just that fucking simple. I know a lot of situations. I played one yesterday where compliance does not mean you get to live. I have videos of people being pulled over by police doing exactly what police officers tell them to do and being murdered by the police. That's a fact, Toshman. So compliance doesn't mean you live. And guess what? Disobedience does not mean you deserve to die. Police officers do not get to kill people simply because people don't do what they say. If your life is not under threat, if I'm not trying to kill you, you don't get to kill me. It's just that simple. That's not difficult. I had this very in-depth discussion yesterday with someone who had your same opinion. She was on my panel for an hour. Hoshman. And it's very simple. I am not saying that people should run away from the police. What I am saying is that people have obeyed the police and still died. Quite a bit.
Well, at some point, you got to have laws. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, well,
You have to follow them.
I'm not saying don't have laws.
You're saying that it's okay to run from the police.
What I'm saying is, no, that's not what the fuck I said. I'm going to say what I said and I'm going to say it again. Here's what I said. I said, I am not saying it's okay or that people should run from the police. Those were literally my words. I'm not saying people should run from the police. What I said is that if someone flees from the police, that is not an excuse to murder them. And how do we know that's the standard? Because that's the standard when it comes to regular court cases, right? So whenever, if you're in a court case and you are claiming self-defense, if the person is fleeing from you, there is no longer a threat and you do not get to use self-defense as your justification.
Your presumption is that she was fleeing. It's all going to be boiled down to whether the officer thought she was fleeing or she thought she was
no, it doesn't.
To run over him.
No, it doesn't. That's not what it's going to boil down to.
Hold on. That's the difference.
That's not what it's going to boil down to.
If he thought she was trying to run over him and not fleeing, that's where it's going to boil down to.
Well, here's the thing, Hoshman. What it's going to boil down to is this: is if you think somebody's trying to run over you, you don't step in front of the car.
He was already in front.
No, sir. He walked in front of her car when she put it in reverse. And the difference is you are talking about, you are saying it's all going to come down to what he believed, and that's not true. That's not how it works in a court of law. That's not how it works in a court of law.
But that's what it's going to boil down whether
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't boil down to that.
What was his intentions?
Listen, it doesn't. Listen.
It won't come to what his intentions were.
No, it doesn't.
That's not true.
It is true. It is true. 100 lines. Listen, it is true. You do not. Your intention doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he intended to kill her or not. Because intention is one of the rarest things you can prove in court. You can almost never prove intention. That's why very few people are charged with murder in the first degree. That you have to prove that premeditation. You have to prove intent. It's the hardest measure of a legal standard to meet. It's the hardest standard because you don't know someone else's intent. So it does not come down to his intent. It comes down to a few other things. It comes down to his record. It comes down to his training. It comes down to the situation, the evidence, and the videos, right? It comes down to all of those things combined together. And the bottom line is, did he follow, exactly, Rescue, did he follow the protocol that he's supposed to do? And I'll tell you this, the fact that he was in a separate incident several years ago where he was drugged by a car is actually going to work against him, because that means he is predispositioned because of a traumatic event to respond. Was it last year, Amy? Yeah. He was predispositioned because of his trauma, and he reacted poorly. He reacted from a place of trauma and from PTSD, and not from the actual incident as it occurred yesterday. And that's going to play against him. So immediately my question is, did they give him the therapy that he needed to get? Did they give him the de-escalation training? Did they make sure before they put this officer back out into the streets, did they make sure before they took this individual who's been in law enforcement and the military and put them out onto the street, engaging with civilians every damn day, right? Did they make sure that he was equipped and ready to be out there in that situation? Because it looks like they did not. That's what it looks like.
That's a fair point.
And so this is the thing, because here's what I will say. If he believed that, because here's what I would think if I'm a police officer and as someone who was in the military, if I had taken the life of an individual, even if I thought they were trying to do me bodily harm, right? And I see that that threat has ended, that vehicle has now crashed. At what point do I decide I'm going to get up, walk away, get in my truck, and I'm going to leave the scene? Like, why am I doing that? Why am I not staying there to do everything possible for this individual? Why am I not staying there to be seen by the paramedics who are on their way?
Because I believe that he was de-escalating by leaving.
No, you don't de-escalate by leaving. That's not.
But the crowds were.
No, you don't de-escalate by leaving. He could have very much just listen. No, that's not de-escalation. De-escalation would have been not stepping in front of her vehicle, not firing into her car, and not killing her. That's not de-escalation.
I'm talking about the crowds that were there.
Yeah, well, the crowds were being handled by everybody else. Nobody was rushing him. Matter of fact, do you want to know how we know nobody was rushing over? Because the other federal agents wouldn't even allow a doctor to go give her CPR. A doctor said, I'm a physician. Can I check for a pulse? Can I help? And they refused her medical aid.
Well, that's their policy. They don't.
No, it's not a policy.
They have to secure their.
The scene was secure.
Well, we don't.
We do know that. We do know that when you have a barrier around the scene and there's no one in that scene, and you have a regular civilian saying, I'm a physician, can I come render aid? It is not a policy to turn away medical aid for an injured American citizen. That's not the policy. That's not policy. It is never the policy to not attempt to save a life. And they did. They literally said no. And when she said, but I'm a physician, he told her, relax. Not him, but another one. Just relax. She said, how can I relax? You just murdered my neighbor. I want to check. I'm a physician. And in some states, if you're a civilian and you don't render aid, you can be prosecuted. In some states, if someone is hurt and you do not render aid, you can be prosecuted. It's not the policy to deny medical aid to an injured individual. That's not policy.
That's a fair point. Do you believe in the justice system?
What do you mean believe in it? What does that mean?
What I mean, do you believe that justice will be done?
No, not always.
So only justice is done if it goes your way.
No, that's not what I said.
Well, if he's found not guilty, you're going to say justice
so
was
let
wrong.
me be clear. So you're drawing very wild conclusions. Here's the question that you asked me, Hoshman. You asked me, do I believe in justice? I said, in what way? Because it's a very broad statement, right? And you said, do I believe that justice will occur? And my answer to that is not always, because it doesn't always occur, so right? And in a variety of situations.
let's just say it goes to court, evidence comes out, and when he's found not guilty and he walks, you're going to say that justice was not done.
So
we have a corrupt government.
One of the things that I don't do, Hoshman.
It's a lose-lose.
Hoshman, can I address what you're saying? So one of the things that I don't do is try to be Miss Cleo. Okay? Because I don't know, A, if this case is going to court. I don't know what evidence is going to come out in this case. I don't know, like all of those things. Like, I'm not talking about, you ask me my opinion about the justice system. My opinion about the justice system isn't based on what might happen in this one future case. My opinion about the justice system is that I have seen far too many times in my 50 plus years in this life, guilty people get off. Guilty people not be prosecuted. And so here's the thing, here's what I know about this justice system. Our legal system, our justice system is not about justice. That's not what it's about. Our justice system, and there's different components, right? But the justice system is made up of what you can prove, not what you know. The legal system in and of itself is simply about law, who can have the best legal argument that finds the whatever loophole that makes whatever happen. Like, it has absolutely nothing to do with justice. If our justice system was truly about justice, you would see sentencings be similar for human beings, regardless of how much money they make, right? What we know is that in a court, and I would imagine that you know this, but even let's just say, for example, you have an accident at work, or somebody injures you, or somebody hurts you, or somebody unalives you even, and your family sues them. The value of your life in a court of law is based on how much money you were going to make over your life. That's why they have punitive damages. That's why they have different types of damages in court, is because it's based on the value of your life. If the system was about justice, what kind of money you make wouldn't determine the value of your life. If the system was about justice, we would see equal sentencings for people, regardless of if the victim is a child, a woman, or a male. We would see sentencings being the same, regardless of if the person, whether they're black, brown, or white. We would see that if the system was about justice, but it's not.
Yeah, but your premise on this, on your TikTok thing or whatever it's called, your whole premise is that a police officer unalived an innocent woman. So
show me that premise. Show me that premise anywhere. Show me.
When I first come on, the reason why I clicked on here is you told me that officer unalived an innocent woman. You were.
I did, and the reason I did, and I will stand behind that statement, and I'm going to tell you this very clearly, because according to the law, you are innocent until proven guilty. Okay. So when I say she was innocent, that's not my opinion. That's a fact.
Okay, so when the law comes back and says he was innocent and he did the right thing, what are you going to say then? Well,
the law won't say he's innocent. The law will either say he is guilty of a particular charge that is brought before the court or not. And that's different.
And when he's not guilty, how would you use the word innocent?
Again, you are in the future. You are in the future. And what I just said to you is what I say about the court case at that time will be based upon the actual court case. And there is no court case, and there is no court, and there is no testimony from everybody that was present, right? I don't have an opinion on a case that doesn't exist right now. I have an opinion on the justice system based on the court cases that have already occurred.
But you have the premise also, the officer has, in a split second, has to have a court case and determine whether she's innocent or not innocent.
I've never said an officer has to have a court case.
Within 1 second.
I never said an officer has to have a court case.
Decisions are made in a second.
Again, Hoshman, I understand that. And if you are an individual that cannot make high stakes decisions in 1 to 3 seconds, do not be a fucking law enforcement officer. Do not be a federal agent. Do not be in the military. Don't be those people. If you cannot do the training and equip yourself to be able to make those decisions within all of this environment, then that's not the job for you. A lot of people chose to become ICE agents because they got a $50,000 bonus and their student loans forgiven. That doesn't mean that they're equipped to do the damn job. And if you cannot do the job, and that's the requirement, right? The requirement of this job is to be in high stakes situations and to be able to take in your environment and make the best decision possible based on all that, and not use the job as the excuse. That is the literal job. So you can't use the job you chose to do as an excuse for doing a shitty job.
Okay, I'm just telling you right now, when it's found out that he's innocent.
And again, you're win it's.
Right,
You're doing win it's. You're in the
When it does.
future. I'm dealing in the facts of
Will you
today.
just tell people to obey the police and
I don't have to tell people to do shit. Why don't you go tell police officers to not kill people? How about that? You go tell police officers to not kill people, and that'll be that. How about that, Hoshman?
Yeah, don't
How about that, Hoshman? I'm just being very clear. No, listen, I'm going to say this as clear as I possibly can. I'm going to say this as clear as I possibly can.
Come on.
Okay? The facts are that there are tens of thousands of people that comply with the police and still die, still receive bodily injury, still get hurt. Compliance or listening to the police does not mean you deserve a death sentence. Police officers do not get to kill people for not listening. You only get to take someone's life if you are defending your life or the life of someone else.
Exactly what.
And it's bullshit to say any different. It's absolute horseshit. And no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't, Hoshman. If he felt that was the case, he would not have stepped in front of her car. And we've already said that. We've already said that. We've already said that.
Yeah, well, that's the contention.
No, that's not the contention.
Different way.
No.
I'm sitting there and I want to go home to my family and I see somebody coming at me at my car.
Well, if you want to go home to your family, don't step in front of the car.
I'm going to pull my weapon.
If you want to, which is why I'm glad you're not in law enforcement, Hoshman.
I'm going to pull my weapon.
Which is why you are not fit to be in law enforcement. You're literally making my case for me. Hoshman, you're making my case for me.
I don't have to be a police officer to have
You are making my case for me.
You're going to get
So let me just explain this to you. You're making my case for me because law enforcement officers do not get to think like the average everyday citizen. That's you. You're an average everyday citizen, right? So I would expect you to say, well, if I saw that, I would do this. Great. You're an average citizen. You have not gone through the training and you don't have the requirement that these individuals do. You literally are making my point for you. There's no way in hell a 10-year law enforcement veteran should be operating in the same way that you are. There is absolutely no way that a 10-year veteran of law enforcement should be responding to a situation the same way that you are. A regular ass civilian who has never been trained, who has never had any like literally, because if a law enforcement officer who's a 10-year veteran is responding to situations the same way that you are, we got a problem. That person should not be in law enforcement. Period. They should have a completely different mindset. And I'll share this with you. So I am someone who supports the Second Amendment. I also support responsible gun legislation. Why? I'll tell you why. So as someone who was in the United States Army, right? What I can tell you is, does anybody in the comments know when we are not the only where are our weapons stored as military personnel when we are on post? When we are on post, where are our weapons stored? Anybody, Siberio, arms room, armory. Exactly. in the armory. When you are in the military, unless you are military police, you do not get to walk around the post with your weapons. Matter of fact, we don't even call them guns. We call them weapons. Why? Because there's lots of different guns. There's BB guns, there's air guns, there's bubble guns. There's a bunch of different types of guns out there, right? But we absolutely understand, right, that a weapon does damage and takes life, right? So we use that verbiage for a reason so that we always know we are talking about something that does harm. So when we are talking about a weapon, no, there's a difference, Hoshman, and I'm going to tell you why real quick, okay? He said, so does a car. No, it doesn't. Today, my car took my grandbabies to school and my daughter to work. My car took me to the gym. So listen, my car can be a weapon if I use it as such. Shit, I can go right here into my kitchen. I can get a skillet and it can be a weapon. 100%. It could be a weapon if I use it that way. A gun, an M16A1, an M16A2, an M6, an A4, a 9mm, guess what? That's all they are. That is all they are. I'm not frying no fucking arms with a 9mm. I'm not frying eggs with a 9mm, am I? Nope. I'm not driving anybody to school in my 9mm, am I? Nope. It is designed for one thing. That is not the truth about a car. So we're not gonna say, oh, so is a car. No, we're not. We're not. But this is the thing, you guys. If the most trained people in this country, which is our military individuals, do not walk around with their weapons on them all the time, why the fuck should the average person? If our military understands that that's not the best thing to do, why should we do it? So I'm just going to be very, very clear about this. You can say, what is her intent? I done told you I am not Miss Cleo. My damn name is Dani. I'm not reaching into nobody's, I'm not bringing out no crystal ball and saying, oh, her intent was this. Because guess what? You can't prove that intent in a court of law. Thanks to that officer, thanks to that law enforcement, thanks to that ICE agent, Renee Nicole Good isn't here to tell you her intent. If he had not murdered her, she could tell you your intent. She could tell you. He's going to be here to tell you his intent, but she's not here to tell you hers. Why? Because he murdered her and that did not have to occur. Literally, if she had pulled off and left that scene, you got her license plate, go arrest her ass later. It's that simple, folks. Law enforcement agents, police officers, they are not God. They don't get to determine if you have rights or if you don't. I'm going to say that part again. They do not get to say whether you have rights or whether you live. That goes through the judicial system. Do you know an officer doesn't even get to decide what you are actually charged with? They can make up a charge, they can take it to the DA, and then the DA says, you know what, nope, you ain't got enough evidence for that. Or the DA can say, you know what, I don't think I can prove that. I think they did that, but I don't have the proof for that. That's why we have the law enforcement, and then we have the judicial branch. They are not the same. They don't do the same things. Period. So it's just that simple. Anybody that wants to talk to me about law enforcement taking someone's life, and the first thing you want to say is people should listen, the first thing I'm going to tell you is cops shouldn't be murderers. We don't kill people for not listening. We don't kill people for not listening.
She would be alive if she would.
No, she wouldn't. You're being Mr. Cleo. You don't know what would have happened. There are people right now that listen to ICE agents that are sitting in ICE detention centers or were, and they were murdered. They listened to ICE and are still dead. So this has been the deadliest year. 2025 was the deadliest year for people in custody of ICE agents.
So people need to run when you get pulled over. Run because you.
Who said that? Because you know the fuck I didn't say it.
Well, you don't.
You know the fuck I didn't say it. So do you know what's so simple? So Hoshman. So yes, I can. Do you want to know why I can, Hoshman? Let me tell you why I can. Let me tell you why I can. Because you want to say nope. You want to say, oh, okay. So if listening doesn't mean they live, then they should just run. Who the fuck said that? You being really silly. Not having a real conversation.
A real conversation. Ask this question. If you personally get pulled over by the police, based on what you've seen and you know, okay? And I want you to understand, obviously, you get pulled over, traffic stop, aggressive.
Aggressive what? What's aggressive mean?
They come out, they think that you may, let's just say they think they misidentified who they think you are, and they pull you over, lights flashing, they approach your car. What are you going to do? Are you going to run? Or are you going to get out of the car? Because what you're saying on both sides is you can die either way.
Because you can.
So what is your action going to be?
That's up to me. That's my personal choice in that moment.
So what is it going to be? What would it be?
But I'm not the one here. It's going to be whatever it is at that time. It's going to be whatever it is. And listen, Hoshman, here's the key. The key is whether I run or not, they don't get to kill me.
I agree, but what are you telling
me? No, that's it. That's the end. That's the end. That's the end. The end is this. If they run or not, they don't deserve to die.
I agree with you.
Okay, then that's the end of it. It doesn't matter if they run or not. It doesn't matter if people run or not.
What choice are you going to make? Are you going to get out of the car or are you going to run?
I'm not in that position, so I don't know.
But you're telling people that either way, they're fucked.
No, that's not what I told people. What I said is either way, people have died.
What do you think they should do?
Did you just hear what I said?
No.
Did you just hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard you say, what do you think?
So I've already answered your question, Hoshman. I've already said it 1,000 times. I've already said it.
What is it? Tell me one more time.
No, the fuck I'm not. Because if you haven't listened up till now, I don't know what you're doing here.
You can't say it because you've never answered it.
No, I did. Watch this in the comments. Watch this in the comments. Hey, guys, what did I say about people in the comments? Hush, because other people, there's 600 people in here and they've been listening and you haven't. So, guys, what did I say about people? What did I say about people running from police? What did I say about people running from police? Answer it in the chat for me. What did I say about whether or not people should run from the police? What have I said?
Crickets.
No, not crickets.
Let's see.
So hold on. Here we go. So one person says they can't use lethal force on runners. Yep, I said that. What? Would you shut the fuck up and let me read the comments? Jesus. No, not about me running. Not about me running. Andrea Todd, what did I say? Not to run? What else did I say?
I don't see not to run.
Well, Andrea Todd, she just put it right there in the comments.
Well, there's been 30 of them and nobody else is saying anything.
Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. A lot of them were just talking to you instead of listening. Right. Lisa girl, what did I say? I said to listen to the police. See, that girl, Lisa, you said to listen to police. What else did I say? Oh, yep. I answered that yesterday too. I sure did. R6 Daddy, you said follow the law. I sure did. Always my grace. Not to run. Yep. Danny, you're right. I said running does not mean not dying. I did. Nikki, I did answer it yesterday and today. Yep. No. I said it yesterday and today. I sure did.
Yeah, but you're using excuses if you don't run.
No, I didn't use an excuse for if you don't run. No, I didn't. What excuse?
You still be killed.
That's not an excuse. That's a fucking fact.
So your chances are a lot better if you don't run.
No, not necessarily.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's a fact. Here's what I would say to you, right? Hoshman, here's what I would say to you is how much do you know about police use of force? How much do you know about police use of force?
All I need to know is not to run from the police, and my chances are a lot better.
Well, that's you. Are you a white man? Are you a white dude?
Yes.
Okay, so your chances are better. For people of color, they are 3 times more likely to die no matter what they do.
So if you have a people of color, it's 50-50 chance you're going to get.
I didn't say 50-50. I said they are 3 times more likely than you.
Well, I'm saying, well, you should run. I'm asking about whether you should run.
Did you hear what I just said, though? So listen, you said, I know for me. This is what you said. You said, I know for me that if I don't run, right, my chances are a lot better. And my point is simply this.
Everybody's chances are better.
Hoshman, hush and listen, because that's not true.
Oh my God.
And I'm basing it just based off facts. So here's the deal, okay? When you say my chances are a lot better, here's what I'm telling you is regardless of what black and brown people do, they are 3 times more likely than you to die at the hands of police. No matter what they do, whether they listen, whether they don't listen, whether they run, whether they don't run, whether they put their hands in the air and they're sitting beside the mental health patient that they take care of, they still die. Whether they say to the officer, I'm letting you know, I'm licensed to carry, there's a weapon here, I'm not reaching for it, I'm just letting you know it's here. And then you get fired 7 times in your body in front of your girlfriend and your baby in the back seat. His name is Philando Castile. I played his video yesterday.
So your mixed messaging is you don't know what, it's just like a complete chaos whether you should.
I didn't give any mixed messaging. My messaging is pretty damn clear. So let me be clear. So I'm going to give it to you because you seem to have a really difficult time with my messaging, right? Because I don't believe my messaging is mixed. Here's my messaging in case anybody is unclear as Hoshman is. Here's what my messaging is. I do not believe that people should run from police, disobey police, or doing any of that. I don't believe that that's what people should do. What I also, shut up and let me finish. What I also know, based on facts, like actual facts, is that for black and brown people, whether they run or don't run, they are 3 times more likely to die at the hands of law enforcement than white people. That's a fact. Next, what I also believe, what my messaging also is that when a citizen either is disrespectful or doesn't listen or runs away, officers, whether they are federal agents, whether they are police, whether they are ICE, whatever they are, they do not have the legal right to kill those people. They don't have, I don't give a shit if they run from you and you don't fucking like it. You don't have the right to kill them. Period.
Unless you're trying to run over you with
again, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. If someone is leaving, if someone is running away, you do not get to step in front of the vehicle and kill them because you don't want them to leave. No, not my interpretation. The facts. I can actually see.
Facts are, is she hitting with the car?
No, the facts are he stepped in front of her as she was backing up the car. Period. That's the fact. When she backed up, he stepped in front of the car. Period. And here's the thing: he was well enough with no injuries that his ass could walk away from the scene of the crime, get inside his damn vehicle, and fucking leave. So he wasn't hurt. What?
Yeah, she tried. She went forward and was.
What?
You don't run over a police officer. If he was clearly in front of the car, why would she go forward?
He clearly. So here's the question. The question is, Here's the question. The question is,
there you go.
if
Answer
she's
that.
moving her car, why would he step in front of it? That's the question.
No, the question is why.
The question is, if she is moving her car, why would he step in front?
Your car forward over a police officer.
Why would the police officer? Why would the law enforcement officer? Why would the ICE agent who has been drugged by a car in the last year put himself in front of the car?
Okay, and then you ask.
No, but why would he do that? Why would he do that?
Put your foot on.
Why would he do that, Hoshman? Nope, we're not going to do symptoms. Here's what we're going to do. We're gonna back all the way up, because let me just tell you. So here's the deal, Hoshman. Nope. Here's the deal. The bottom line is he, okay, so let's do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to answer your question. Are you ready? So if I'm in my car and I am backing up and I am going forward, because when she's in that car and she's backing up, you don't know if she's looking straight ahead or if she's not.
Oh, now
you know, you get to hush, because we're going to talk about split-second decisions right now. We're going to talk about split-second decisions right now. So I'm a regular citizen. I'm sitting in my car. I have officers telling me to leave. I have officers telling me to stay. I have officers, they tell me to leave, right? The officer is right here. And so I put my car in reverse, and then I change my gear and I put my car into drive and I push forward. How do I decide in 1 second whether I go forward or whether I don't? If I lift my head up and I see that, don't take yourself on mute if I put you on. So this is the part that I think is so funny, right? This is the part that I think is so funny. You want to say, oh, this cop only had a split second to determine what to do, but she doesn't get that same split second. So let me ask y'all something. When you put your car in reverse, when you put your vehicle in reverse, do you stay looking out your windshield when you do it? Or do you tend to look down when you put your car into reverse? And when you put your car back into drive to go forward, do you not tend to look when you put it into drive? And then you look your head to see where you're going. Do you not? I'm just asking. And if I'm going in reverse, I'm still talking. And if I'm going in reverse, I'm probably looking in my rearview mirror or my side mirrors or the backup camera that's on my car, right? So I'm not looking at the front of my car at the time that I'm in reverse to see this ICE agent that steps his ass in front of my car.
So you're not looking forward when you put it in drive.
Again,
you're still looking backwards. Is that what
I don't look up until after my car is in drive. And at that time, and again, you want to talk about split-second decisions, but you only want to talk about them as they pertain to what is supposed to be a well-qualified, well-trained, 10-year experienced veteran officer.
You look forward.
What's crazy? That's the thing that's crazy to me. So the split-second decision is only a good enough excuse for the well-trained veteran law enforcement officer, but not for the regular ass mom who's just driving her damn car. I got it. Yeah, so this is why. So again, just silly, Hoshman. And this is the difference between you and I. Because I am only in this entire conversation, everything that I'm saying, I'm just talking about a fact. I'm not speculating.
No, that's not true. Your facts are not right.
No, so hush. I'm literally only talking about facts. You are saying, hold on. And I said, let me finish. You keep saying words like intent and what if this and what if when it goes to court, you find out this. Your arguments are full of speculation. Like you literally are just full of speculating. But what about her intent? And what about this? And what about that? And what about that? And my thing is, I'm not speculating on shit. I am simply going about the actual facts of what's happened, period. Right? And here's what I know to be true that is indisputable. What is indisputable is when she puts her car in reverse, that is when he steps in front. That's when he does it, right? That's when he steps in front. He also immediately pulls his weapon. as soon as he's in front, in that split second that you're talking about. So you have to ask yourself, what would make a 10-year officer, right, step in front of a vehicle and pull his weapon when the person behind the wheel is not communicating a threat?
Now,
And you can nope.
Why would you put your car in drive with a police officer?
Because the other officer told me to leave.
Because
the other officer on this side of my car, because the officer that because the ICE agent that we're talking about, because the ICE agent that we're talking about was over there. No, witness testimony says that.
A witness, which ones? ICE
What?
Yeah, ICE protesters?
No. Listen, people, so let me just be clear. People coming outside in their neighborhood, to see what's happening does not make them ICE protesters. Right? The video literally shows the video shows them telling her
and the video
to leave.
Literally shows her going forward and running and hitting the police officer.
Oh my God. Okay, so listen again, Mike. I don't give a fuck. I don't even care. Let me just be real clear. I don't even care. I don't care. She still doesn't deserve to die. Period. Done. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. She should not be dead. That's the end of it. Period. And I said it yesterday, and I'm going to say it again today, folks. If you are entering this conversation and you are just dead set, no matter what, on defending the actions of this ICE agent, you might want to ask yourself, why? Why is it that that's your position from the gate? Why is it that you can't handle any other facts? You can't handle any other reasoning. You can't apply the same reasoning that you're giving to the officer to the victim who's no longer here, right? Why is that? Because I can consider all sides. I did yesterday. And let me just tell you something, just because, and I'm going to say this, look, as full as I am, this is a fact. Police officers, law enforcement officers in the United States of America kill Black and brown people 3 times more often than they do white people. That's a fact. You don't like that fact? I don't know what to tell you about that. Tell your police officers to stop killing people. That's just a fact. And that is a fact whether or not those Black and brown people listen, comply, run, don't run, doesn't matter. Again, just so we're clear. I've seen far too many Black and brown men shot in the back by police officers when they are absolutely not a threat. And if you don't think that that's wrong, shoot somebody in the back and then go to court and try to claim self-defense. Your ass going to jail for a really long time. I just want to be clear. Even if somebody was coming at you and they were a threat at one time, and then they leave and they run away from you, if you shoot them in the back, you are going to jail because it is no longer self-defense. And that is not my opinion. That's the law. What up, Michael DeBose?
What's going on, Miss Dani? How you doing this morning? I see you up here tussling with people that don't like to watch or read at all.
Listen, if you didn't see, I went back and posted the clip from yesterday's live. Sherry was on with me yesterday. It was a very intense conversation, similar to that one, but the difference between, and I'm just going to keep it 100% real. Some of you are not going to like this shit either, and it's okay. The majority of the time, the people that join this panel who have the opinion of the last person, and are open to other facts and are open to reasonable conversation and are open to discourse and dialogue, they tend to be the women. The white men have the hardest time in the world admitting they could potentially be wrong or considering a different avenue.
Yeah, that's been my experience. That's been my experience on this app.
100%.
Yeah,
that privilege is hard.
I mean, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And I don't know if I caught it or not. Did you guys talk about most time I hear these people trying to be so factual, they haven't watched the whole video.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and when I mean whole video, I mean from the time the officer who ended up with the pew-pewing had his camera in his right hand on the other side of the car. By the time he came around to the front of the car, he went from, if you're in danger, how much time do you have your phone in your right hand, move it to your left hand, and draw your pistol and put it in your right hand? Right?
Yep.
That's not
a split-second decision.
Yeah, these are the little detail people have to pay attention to, right? It's like he went from one side to the other, switch hands, draws, pew-pews. If they were in such rapid succession, that second and third shot would not have went in the window. They would have at least hit the frame of the car.
Yes.
And there were people standing on the main video that we're watching, people that was filmed by from someone standing on the sidewalk or in the background. That person was in harm's way as well.
Yep. Oh, thanks, Vashti.
Nothing about that whole situation seemed to be protocol to me. But the aggressor of the one agent that's getting let off the hook is the one that went up to her door.
Right.
He escalated the entire incident. And then their lack of responding to this woman after the fact.
Yep. They denied medical care.
Well, they didn't even go to, if she was such a threat, we typically see from officers, if that happened, that they still go to the car.
Yeah, because you want to make sure there's no weapons, there's no this, there's no that.
Exactly. That didn't happen at all.
No.
So that told you from the very beginning that if they thought she was a threat to use lethal force, they would have went to make sure that the threat had been neutralized, and no one went down there with that urgency at all.
Right. So, folks, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring some more folks up to the panel. I'm going to ask you to stay on mute for a second just so I can level set, and then we can get into. So let me be clear. ICE are law enforcement officers. They just are not police officers. So listen, an ICE agent that is part of the Department of Homeland Security, they are considered to be federal agents. They're not police, but they are law enforcement. The same way that the FBI is not police, but they are law enforcement. So I just think it's important for us to make that distinction. While they are not police, they are law enforcement because they are supposed to be enforcing federal law.
But they're all trained in CPR. They're all trained to render aid, right?
Yep.
All of them. They're all supposed to at CPR, rendering aid to. So in that moment, nobody did what they were supposed to do.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I don't even know. Okay, so folks, when I bring you up here, please do me a favor. Put yourself on mute until I get to you. I'm just going to go ahead and bring some folks up to the panel real quick. So give me one moment as I kind of navigate this. Okay, Cam, shit is happening. I'm bringing people up and it ain't bringing people up. Maybe it's because maybe they requested in there and they're not there anymore. Philip, I would love to talk to you about Jesus. Would you like to join my panel? Philip said, I need Jesus in my life. Come on, Philip, let's talk about Jesus because me and Jesus are we are great. Me and Jesus are great. Let's talk about Jesus, Philip. And I hope you have your Bible and your Strong's Concordance ready when we do.
Your phone charged up too.
Right. Come talk to me about Jesus. Because I can do that. I can carry on a conversation with you about Jesus. Where you at, Philip? Who am I trying to bring up? There were some other people that I don't even know where they are now. The Chad Literal, I had picked him, and when I did, it didn't bring him up. I don't know. And I think I chose someone else too. Where you at, Philip? I'm waiting on you. Come say hi. Let's have a talk about Jesus. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the Lord. Is it just me, or like is Philip not coming?
Philip just talking.
Philip ain't made his way.
Philip been coming up here. But I'm definitely willing. I'm definitely gonna move out of the way. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, panel. Jen.
No, you're not. You're gonna stay right where you at, bro.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, boss.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Go back on yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Lori.
Good morning. Thanks for the gifts, guys. Y'all are awesome.
Oh, Philip left. Philip don't want to have a conversation about the load. That's probably because Philip went to Google what a Strong's Concordance is. Philip might not know what a Strong's Concordance is. Because I do. I'm just wondering, where you at, Philip? We can do a King James, a New King James. We can do an NIV. We can do an Amplified. We can do a parallel Bible. You ever had one of those, Philip? I had one of them.
This is going to be one of those be careful what you wish for moments.
It is. It is. It sure is.
And I'm here for it.
It is. See, I'm not like other content creators and other people on this app that don't want to have a conversation. You want to bring up religion to me? You want to bring up Jesus? We're going to talk about Jesus all day. I'm going to meet you where you at. Mm-hmm.
He's still here.
I know he's still here, hiding out. What up, Shannon? So, Philip, I guess you don't know how to make your way to the panel? Lori said, I have one. Right, just saying. Where you at, Philip? I really want to talk about Jesus. I think people could use some Jesus, especially, do you know what I think could use Jesus the most right now? Christians. I think Christians in the United States of America could use some Jesus. I sure do. I think some Christian Zionists could use some Jesus. Come on, let's talk about Jesus. Let's do it. Now, while I'm saying that, do y'all know what I keep hearing in my head? Hold on. I'm going to tell y'all what I keep hearing in my head. I'm going to play it for you because I don't know why this shit is in my head. But this is it. And it's because he said you need some Jesus in your life. It's that part. And so let me tell y'all what he's got me singing in my head.
Hey, Jim. You know the old sugar daddy. If you trick, they tell them, girl.
You can have whatever you like. Why is this in my head? You can have whatever you like. Bottles all night, baby. You can have whatever you like. Because he said you can get this big boy in your life. Yeah. Treat you that. Baby, you can have whatever you like. You don't know this, do you, Philip? Yeah. Shorty, pull up. Ain't nothing to have a couple sacks on you. You want it, I got it. Yeah. Oh, Philip, you in here? Listen, you're not about to sit your ass in these comments talking about we all need him. Come on, Philip. Come bring me some Jesus. Come on. What you know about Tip? You like the song? You don't know that song.
You sure don't.
I want your body. Need your body. Long as you got me, you won't need nobody. If you want it, I got it. Come get it. Tell them other broke be not.
Sex on day, control no ice. And we can pop bottles all night.
Baby, you can have whatever you like. Oh, so Reyes, let me say this. So Reyes, here's what I don't do in this space. You can have your personal opinion that Jesus isn't real. You can have your personal opinion that Jesus isn't real, but what I don't do is disparage other people's faiths and religion. If people want to believe in Jesus, believe in Jesus. I mean, there's a lot of historical documents that prove Jesus was real. Maybe it's not in the way that some people believe he was real, but that's not even up for debate. Let people believe in Jesus if they want to believe in Jesus. You ain't got to believe in Jesus. Right. It's the whatever you like Jesus edition. Okay, Philip, let me help you. YOU''RE. And then it's 2. So listen, my grandchildren get this one confused, but let me see if I can help you. When you want to say 2, as in like extra, right? As like an amount, there's 2 O's. So there's TO, which is the preposition you're using right there. And then there's TOO, which means more of something. It's an adjective, right? That's what you're trying to say. And then there's TWO, which is the number 2. And I know it can be confusing. My grandbabies had a rough time with it too, but just practice it and you'll get it. No, listen, I love how they equate anger with Black women. That's all that is. Philip said I was too pretty to be angry. Do I look angry? This happy as hell. Philip just thinks because I'm brown and amplified that maybe I'm angry. It's just, listen, that's just your own bigotry. It's okay. You can actually unfix it. You can fix that. You can undo it. It takes some intention. It takes intention to undo that bias and that prejudice, but you can do it, Philip W. I got faith in you. I got faith in you. All right. So I have a full panel now.
Yes, you do.
So we can have some chats about this discussion if you would like.
Good morning, Dani. Sorry about earlier. I was just like, oh, he wants to play word games. I love playing word games.
Yeah, nope.
You know what I mean? Oh, ice, justice, ice. Oh, wait, I got some words. Malice, lice, right? I can come up with some words too.
Yes, I said, there she goes.
But no, I just wanted to say that the reason you have people that like to hold on to this just listen and it'll be okay, is one, they don't want to look at the system itself and that the system may be broken, because if that's the case, and that's why this guy was just like having a hard time with it, right? If that's the case, if you can still listen and do everything right and end up murdered, then that means life is unstable and unpredictable, and it could happen to them too, right? And they don't want to think that, right? They want to believe, the justice system is great, so they can carry on. And they can.
I don't think that part, right? So let me tell you what I think. I think that the reason people like Hoshman have a hard time isn't because they believe that it could happen to them, because they know 9 times out of 10 they white, it's not going to happen to them, right? I think the reason they have a difficult time accepting that is because then you have to address that the United States of America is a racist ass country, and it's embedded in our society and in our systems.
Yep,
and
that was part 2.
And then you have to acknowledge that you, being Hoshman, support that.
Right.
And who wants to come to have that moment with themselves?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, the same, when I kept thinking that, like, and I have it written here. This was yesterday. I wrote it down, and then I got off topic when I got up here. But yeah, it was Sherry, right? She was very upset because if it's true what you're saying,
yep,
then the system really is systemic racism. It's built into the system.
Yep.
and that's why she had a hard time with it, and she actually broke down when she accepted what you were saying, right? That
But-
she did not want to accept it.
Do you remember what I said to her yesterday, Lisa? I said, you deserve, I want white people to have their heart broken the same way that I did when I recognized, realized, and accepted who and what my government is and the way it views Black and brown people. I want you to have your heart broken because it broke my fucking heart, right? So I want you to feel what I have felt. Hey, mods, I want you to give Philip about 60 seconds to request. And if Philip doesn't manage to request in 60 seconds, Philip can just be swooped right on up out of here. Ain't nobody got time for that. You're not even a good missionary for the Lord, Philip. I said, come tell me about Jesus, and your ass still sitting in the comments. That's sad. You had an opportunity to witness in a room that has 500 people sitting in it, and you just stayed in the comments. Shame on you. What would Jesus say? What would Jesus say about your willingness to not come minister the gospel, Philip?
Yeah, isn't that one of the things, right? You're supposed to go share.
That's why I
Jesus.
said missionary. Come listen, that Great Commission, Philip. Come on, come with it.
That's what I heard anyway, Phil.
But if I could say this to y'all for real, if Christian people, and this don't apply to you if this ain't you doing it, right? But if those of you all who consider yourself to be Christians don't leave them monks alone, somebody needs to throat punch you. Leave those monks alone. They are doing a walk for peace. They not knocking on your door trying to convert you. You don't have to believe that in whatever they believe, but stop standing on the street talking to them about we need to save your soul. You don't need to save shit. At least they walking for peace. What are you doing? So leave them alone. Just saying. I saw it yesterday. I said, if you don't get your ass away from them monks, the most humblest, meek people ever. Do y'all know? Can I just ask y'all, do y'all know how shitty a world we have to be in right now for monks to be doing a walk for peace? For monks to have social media and be like, they are the least attention-seeking people ever. Do y'all know how bad things gotta be for monks to say, fuck it, let's just get the dog and we're gonna have to walk all the way across the country because
What's the name walking with them, Daddy?
No.
Never mind. Okay.
Wasn't really a lot of other stuff.
Okay, I got you. There it is. All
A
right.
lot of stuff. Yeah, I'll tell you later, Michael.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of stuff went down with that. But yeah, I think that some I think white people are having a hard time with this. They need for that white woman to have been a bad person.
Yeah.
To have done something wrong, because if not, right.
And let me just say this, and this has historically been the difference between Black and brown people. Black and brown people fighting harder for Nicole Renee Good than white people.
Yes.
Real talk. Because we know the injustice. So we can spot it. It don't matter the color of your skin. When we see it, we call it out. That's the thing. It don't matter to us. It doesn't happen on the other side. It's just crazy to me.
Yeah. People are crashing out on like both ways, right? Like, I mean, even people on the left, right? White people on the left are like crashing out. They're like, oh my God, like they did not really believe, right, that it could happen to them.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm gonna say. It's happened to every white person that's ever stood up for Black and brown people. I said this yesterday. Y'all, if you do not realize, ask white people that participated in the civil rights movement, that were standing up for Black and brown people, what they endured. They wasn't invited to their cookouts at home. I mean, our potato salad was better, so they were cool with it. But I'm just saying, Right?
No raisins. No
Yeah, I'm just saying. They could get unalive just like anybody else. So, yeah, Scott, you wanted to say something? Scott? There you go. Oh, wait, you're on mute. You're on mute, hon. Hold on.
Aloha, my ohana.
Aloha, how are you?
I am well. I made it on this side of the dirt. I'm doing good.
Love that.
And yeah. I spent 50 years of my life supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States. And we, as men and women who support the Constitution of the United States, we make up less than 0.9% of the people here in the United States. And that includes all the World War II veterans. And the propaganda and the Israeli state of the United States of America that's operating here in this country right now, because we're completely captured. And it goes against all the norms that we've been brought up to believe, and so it's repugnant to me and to the Constitution what has been allowed to happen for so long in this country. And I thank God for the young people that finally all of us up to the realities. My son, he called me one day, and he said, "Dad," he said, "are you on TikTok?" And I said, "No, son. What the hell do you think your dad would be doing on TikTok?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Daddy, he said, your brothers and sisters are on TikTok. They need you."
Yeah.
And we all do. Every single one of us. So I just retired after almost 50 years working for the Department of Defense, the United States Air Force. And so I was able to redirect my energies into what I've been focused on for the majority of my life, which was flight test. And so it became abundantly clear after October 7th what was actually happening. And this handheld device that we have here today that gives us the Veritas, it has wakened the world up to the atrocities that's been committed by a group of people who have controlled the narrative for over 400 years now. And enough is enough. And so going forward, this country is full of nothing but a bunch of scared white racists who have been indoctrinated into the psychology of fear. The Israelis raised their children in a psychosis of fear to hate their fellow man. And we're all brothers and sisters. And we have a horrible problem here that young man who so desperately wants to justify the unaliving of one of his sisters by a scared white racist whose intent is abusing his fellow brothers and sisters for the convenience of a petulant man-child and a monster in Israel that is just a psychopath. So I'm late to the engagement.
Better late than never.
But I'm here.
That's right.
Yeah, and some of the finest people I know are of different backgrounds, and they're from every part of this world. I had the privilege of growing up on a small atoll in the Pacific Ocean for the majority of my life, and where I was removed at the age of 3 years old actually, to from the racist white dominated structure here in the United States, and was raised on an island where we funneled all of our brothers and sisters to go fight a war in Indochina. And so for 10 years, those men and women ingressing and egressing through Wake Island, because that was the only way in. You had to stop at Wake. And then they started coming back in boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't grow up in a battlefield surrounded by everybody on the planet Earth, damn near, and in an environment where you, as a white person, are the minority, and live in the spirit of ohana and love, to love your neighbor. And that's the problem here. Everybody who believes in the Bible don't even believe in their Bible or their scripture or whatever the hell they use to justify these many wars against our fellow human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to love your neighbor. And Dani, you're doing a great job. You are trying to educate these people who are fearful. They have been raised in a psychosis that most of them cannot escape, not without professional help. And maybe that's one of the reasons why they don't want health care, because they want to raise up a bunch of monsters who can murder somebody.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been guilty. My hands are covered with blood for what I've done in the service of our nation, believing the bullshit that was told to us, you know, and so I want to say this. This is real. When once I started seeing what was going on in this country, I had to take a trip to see a very good friend of mine down in Texas. I'll be going to West Virginia to her funeral this week. But I got down to Texas, and it was during the eclipse, and the trip there was uneventful until we got down into Liberty, Texas area, and there was one of the first encounters I had with the occupation force here in the United States. And this one was, and I've taken to wearing a body camera wherever I go. I encourage everybody to wear a body camera, and keep it in your vehicle so that, and for God's sakes, don't carry any weapons. This is the United States of America. We're not as scared of our brothers and sisters You know, any day is a good day to die. And we're all on that escalator. None of us are getting off it. We're going to die on the right side of history. And we're not going to live in the fear of other people. So this occupation force, he pulled out in front of me. And then he started slowing down in front of me and kept slowing down. I kept matching him. He came through an intersection and the light had turned red. And when he realized he was in the middle of the intersection at a red light, then he accelerated through and pulled off the right side of the road. Well, then I just sat there and I turned on my flashers because he had so target fixated on me with California license plates that he failed to see there was a 3-car accident in the intersection and went through the red light and then was waiting on the other side to get me. And then he had to turn around and come back to the scene. On the way back through New Mexico, 10 miles into that state, I was accosted by another one of the occupation forces. 33 seconds into our conversation, where he had just lied to me 3 times, he noticed I was wearing a body cam. He shut the hell up, turned around, walked away, came back and gave me a warning. On my transit on the other side of Arizona, outside of Parker, Arizona, they were looking for me, and they got me again. And but I was wearing my body camera, and they can't help but lying, because that's all they've ever done. They just lie. And if you just let them lie long enough and get them into a court of law where they will lie again because it's normalized the deviancy of it all, and they believe that everybody else is a bunch of liars like them.
Yep.
And that's where you want them. You want them on that playing field in the courthouse, where the district attorney is going to lie, the judge is going to lie, everybody's going to lie, because that is the way they've set it up. So I went there to win my case, and one of the indigenous women of Parker that I ran into and I was having a conversation with, she told me about how indigenous men and women were entering into that sheriff's gulag over there, and they don't come out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no record of them going in or where they went to.
Yep.
So I had to get myself invited into that gulag. So I lost that case, and they tried to extort a couple $1,000s from me. And I said, "Oh, no, I'm going to jail, please." and Her Honor said, What? You want to go to jail? I said, "Oh, absolutely."
Yeah.
She said, "Well, why do you want to go to jail?" I said, "Well, my brothers and sisters are in there, and they have their story to tell, and I'm just going to go tell it."
Yeah.
And in that 30-day period while I was in there, I did confirm the fact that indigenous people were being brought into that facility. They weren't being documented as being it, and they just disappeared. There was a Marine Corps, 66-year-old Marine Corps veteran who had been diagnosed with lung cancer before they put him in there, and he had a growth in his lung. And they told him he can get his chemotherapy and radiation treatment after he got out of jail. Not including many of the abuses that were being perpetrated by the commandant of that facility on his own troops and the people. So I put myself on an observe and report mission, and I didn't keep it from anybody. I told everybody exactly why I was there, and finally the commandant found out while I was there, and he didn't want me to leave. So upon my 30 days of incarceration, he sent in his goon squad to snatch me up and drag me back and lock me down in the cell. And one of the most amazing things happened while I was in there. 11 deputies came into that cage, opened every single door up from the sally port all the way to that cell I was in, and said, "Mr. Wick, you are free to leave," and guarded me all the way out. I just got then a couple months ago now, I just got out of another court here in California, where the California Highway Patrol decided 6 of these. Actually, there was 8, 6 of them for the first part. They were so scared of me for not signing their ticket that they had to break the window out of my vehicle and arrest me and take me to Lerdo and to show me the errors of my ways.
Yeah.
And and I demanded a writ of habeas corpus, which was denied. They said they don't get that right because, hey, I guess they're judge, jury, and executioner. So I ended up going to court, and this was an indictment on the court system and the jury system and everything. So I just let them get procedurally everything that they wanted. And I let these guys get on the stand, and we documented everything now. Documented the judge acting outside of his scope, the district attorney. We showed how easily cowed a jury is unless you have somebody forcefully in there, telling them what they have to believe, because we're obsequious. But anyways. At the end of that trial, the district attorney and the judge were so pissed off that I ate up a whole week going into Christmas that they had to bring me to trial because I didn't give up my right to a speedy trial.
Yep.
So everything had to shift over to the right. Cases were being dismissed because they couldn't fill us because they can't do it.
Right.
They were so damn mad. One little girl on the trial, she had put down in there that I was guilty before it even started on her Facebook post, and but I didn't care because I wanted to see what happened, right?
Right.
And the judge, even when he found out about it, he was like, "I don't want to declare a mistrial. This has just cost too much time and money now." Mm-hmm. So he said, "No." So he said, "Oh, I'm going to send you to jail for 60 days." For failure to identify yourself and interfering with an officer. And he said, "But I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna put it concurrent. So you got 30 days in the county jail."
Yeah.
So I went down to the county jail, and the sheriff at the county jail said, "What are you here for?" And I said, "Well, the judge is going to teach me a lesson." And I said, "The reason I come here," I says, "is because I found my black and brown brothers were being arrested for these things such as not signaling, resisting arrest, not wearing a seatbelt, resisting arrest." And that was just 2 people in the same cell when they first arrested me and busted the window out of my car.
Yeah.
And I was an anomaly when I got there because there was no black and brown guys in there that had the same complexion that I had.
Right.
It was amazing. And so the sheriff's department, when they got me there and they asked me why I was there, I told them I refused to sign their ticket. They said, "Hell no, get the hell out of here. We don't want you."
Imagine that.
I'm a real bad guy, man. I says, "I'm going to reoffend. That's why I'm here." And I have since reoffended in Los Angeles County now. I've got another court date in LA Superior Court coming next month. And all this is building to the fact that they're documenting their own demise because the best place. And it's all on record. That's the beauty of it. It's on record in a court of law.
Right.
And all you have to do is give them the rope and they will hang themselves because they're liars. That's all they know. Trump's a liar, a thief, and he doesn't know anything else. He can't expect. We all know what we know.
The beauty of this to me, Scott, is that so here's the thing that I think is beautiful is that you remind me a little bit of my friend Afton, who when I first met her, you probably heard me share the story. Afton Bain, who just ran for Congressional District 7 in the state of Tennessee and cut that GOP lead by 13 whole ass points. So when I first met her, I was outside of Ballot Health and I was doing the healthcare protest, and I met her via phone. We were on a conference call, and we were talking about, okay, so when are we going to have another call? And so Afton goes, "Oh, I can't do it on Tuesday. I'm going to jail." And when she said it, I said, "What?" And I said, "Did you just say you're going to jail?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "You know, that's some white girl shit, right? Because we don't plan to go to jail. Because when we go to jail, there's no guarantee we're getting out." And she said, "Oh yeah, I know. That's my privilege and I'm using it." And so the beautiful thing in this entire, the one of the beautiful things in this entire thing that you shared with us is that you recognize you have the privilege to do that, right? In a system that other people don't have the privilege to be able to do that and get the system to work. And so this is why when white people ask me, well, like, what do we do or how do we end racism and whatever, I said, listen, racism is not a black people's issue. We can't solve it. It has to be white people that take on the issue of racism. The same way it has to be cis and heterosexual people who take on the issue of transphobia and homophobia. It's always the people that belong to the group that is doing the oppressing, that is doing the discrimination. It's those people that it's their responsibility to step in and do something. And so the beautiful thing that I hear about you is, oh, and wait, I made 2 notes for you that I want to offer you while you were talking. You might not have thought I was listening, but I was. So you said that we all need to love our neighbor, right? That's what we're here to do. And I've said this a couple of times, and I just want you to try it on. I think that many people, because the whole verse is love thy neighbor as thyself, right? And I think that people do love their neighbors as they love themselves, because I think most people don't love themselves. I think most people don't love who they are. They have become rooted in fear and hatred and trauma. And so they don't love who they are. And so because they don't love themselves, they don't have love to give to their neighbor, right? So that would be the first thing that I would offer. That is why I keep saying our work as individual people is what we need to do. Wait, the babies were born? The babies aren't supposed to be here until the 17th.
Yeah, he just said that they were
I
born.
see they were born. Everyone is fine. Okay, so he'll have to come up here in just a second and share that with us. But yeah, so 100%, I think that's the biggest, that's one of the things. And then the second part that I would offer you is you said that you have a lot of blood on your hands because of the things that you did in service to this country when you believe the lies. And here's what I would offer to you is that's not on your hands because at the time you didn't know. And so I think it's really important for us to not blame ourselves for things that we did before we knew differently, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I just want to, he sent pics to my WhatsApp. Okay, I got them. I just think that it's really important. Oh my gosh. Mohammed, they're beautiful. Not their tongues out. Hold on, y'all. You have to see this. So Mohammed OS is a member of Palestinian Press, as you all know, and he's a dear friend of ours. And his wife just gave birth to twins. And you guys aren't going to get to see over here, but TikTok, I can turn my screen on for you. And I just want you all to see this right here. Holy geez. Look at their tongues out. Look at their tongues out. Oh my gosh.
They're related to me.
Isn't that amazing? Aren't they beautiful?
Absolutely.
I'll put the images in WhatsApp, in the Discord for everybody. Oh, here he is holding them. Smiling from ear to ear. So, Mohammed, you have to tell me, what does Osama think of them? Look at them, y'all. He's so happy. That's incredible. Yes, and Yaya, get over here on TikTok. Yeah, I'm ridiculously happy. That's amazing. Okay, so she's had the C-section. So everyone remember that Mohammed OS is in my link tree. He's the very top in that section where it says Palestinian support. He's the very, just today, Kat, just today, he literally said, oh shit, I missed it yesterday. So everything was so intense yesterday. She gave birth yesterday afternoon. She was in the delivery room at 4:23. I didn't even see that message yesterday. And then he sent me pictures today. Yeah, yeah. So the best way to help is directly through the link. Although if you have some magic beans and you want to make that happen, he's down here on the panel as well. So, but I will share his link directly in the Discord along with pictures of the babies. I want to see baby Osama with the twins, though. That's what I can't wait to see. But yeah, so Scott, I just wanted to, those are the two things that I wanted to offer to you, is that I think people do love to the best of what they have. And that's why this individual work that I think is necessary. We've got to be on that road to make that happen. In order for us to, I don't even want to say the word fix, because I don't want to fix the systems that we have now. I want to create new systems. I want to create things the way that they need to be for actual everyday, for every human being possible. So I don't know if you saw in the comments or not, but everybody has adopted you. You're now Unc. You're now Unc. Unc Scotty. So just so you know, they've called you that in the comments. So I thought I would share. Let me get to, so a couple of things have changed, have shifted. I do not have a hard stop now. That's number one. Number two, although I'm just going to be frank, it's very quiet on this side of the world. And so when I say this side of the world, it's the other platforms. Most of the interaction, as you all can tell, happens over on TikTok. So what I will probably do is close out you guys over here pretty soon and still continue to go over here. And then I will download clips like I did yesterday so that I can share them across the board. Okay. So appreciate you, Scott. I want to get to stay right here on the panel and hang out with us. I want to get to Jen and Merlot and Within One Heart and the other Jen and then Doug. So I want to kind of run down the gamut.
May I speak one more thing before I go? Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
I am the most ignorant man that I know. However, my knowledge of my own ignorance prevents me from becoming stuck on stupid. And I was stuck on stupid, and my mom is the one that kicked me off of that. And she told it to me like this. She says, Scotty, you are a testament of who you are from now until the time you die. She goes, are you going to be known as a teller of truth or a teller of lies? And she said the difference between the truth and a lie is, and she used the word veritas. Yeah. She said veritas is indomitable and unimpeachable. It stands on its own. It doesn't need to be propped up. She says, a lie, however, is a truth that men agree to. And it must be said over and over and over again until it becomes the mantra that the people believe. So, and that right there is what's been my guiding principle my entire life. And there's so many liars in the United States of America, and I've been all around the world. And for the most part, 99% of them live in North America. And it was really easy for Mossad to blackmail all these people because they're ashamed of their own nature and who they are and what they've done. And so, yeah, you're doing a great job. I love you all, man. You guys, this is the tip of the spear, and this is where things happen, and this is where education is found at the Veritas. And I love you all, man. I really do.
Well, we love you back. For those of you guys who want, I will clip that part from him and I will share it. Okay. I will clip it and I'll share it for those of you guys who want the Veritas piece. Okay. Appreciate you. Love you a minute, Scotty. They want you to repeat it real quick. The quote.
So my mom said, Scotty, she goes, you know, you could be you're a testament to your life. And she said, everything that you do, and she said, everybody's watching. You just don't know they're watching. She says, but everything that you do in life is being recorded. And in the final analysis, when it comes down to it, are you going to be known as a teller of the truth or the teller of Veritas, or are you going to be a teller of lies? And she said the difference between Veritas and a lie is that Veritas stands on its own, indomitable and indisputable. And it stands on its own. It doesn't need to be buttressed. She said a lie, however, has to be told over and over and over until it becomes a truth that men agree to.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on here. And we haven't been paying attention for so long. I mean, I haven't. I actually believed that the people that were running our government had the best interests of the people in mind and at the forefront of their thinking.
Yep.
Now I've come to the conclusion that oh no, that is not true.
Yep.
And that is the furthest thing from what's been going on. We have been captured totally. So it doesn't matter whoever you vote for, and you gotta vote. God damn, you gotta vote. And it's got to be somebody who represents your values and who you are as a person. There are a lot of good people in this United States of America. A lot of them are misled right now. They need to find their way to find out that are the people that are representing me, is that truly who they are? And I can't compromise my beliefs because you said, well, he still wants to massacre your fellow brothers and sisters on this part of the world, but he wants to do this for you. No. An injury to one is an injury to all.
Yes.
And you don't get to be able to make those stupid ass claims. You know, it's like that young man that was just on there that you were trying to educate. He couldn't see it, you know, and he's scared, and that's what it is. Most people are scared. But anyways, I go. You got a lot of work to do.
I appreciate you, Scott. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. What's up, Jen?
First of all, it's unfair to have to follow Uncle Scott. Because, so, second of all, but not less than, congratulations to Muhammad OS. I just smitten.
Yes.
That just made my day.
100%.
So let me just try to nutshell this as fast as I can, because yes, you have a full panel. So I'm going to go back a little bit to what you said very early on in your live, Dani, which is expectation. Disappointment sometimes comes from expectation, because you have an expectation that you have set often for somebody else or some other situation, and then that expectation isn't met and you get disappointment.
Yeah.
Part of me, you know, based on yesterday's conversation with regard to Renee's incident was I love this group. And what I do fear, because I have a forensic background and I have a, you know, that relates to the legal stuff, be very careful. I'm just going to put a caution. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but a cautionary thing is be careful what what you perceive in a picture or a video is not often the perception that will reveal itself in court. And so the expectation that you think it's going to come out the way that you perceived it may not happen, and then we have the disappointment. So just as a cautionary thing. The other thing too is that we get a tendency to want to box things up and pre-litigate, post-litigate. We're not in the jury, panel, all these things. There is a much bigger picture, as was pointed out by Sammy J yesterday. My thing yesterday and my goal today is to say we have a tendency, and it's very easy to get lost in the weeds. The bigger picture is that this isn't the first unaliving that has happened by this agency. It's one of a string. It's just the first one that's been so blatantly out in broad daylight, captured on video, immediately posted to social media. And so where we can see and we can judge for ourselves. But there's been 30 plus in detention. And the approach that these agents made to Renee's vehicle, in my opinion, was totally wrong. And so for some people, when they're going to argue this, and you're going to see this in coming days, and that's why I'm saying this, you're going to see a lot of people arguing like what's his nuts did earlier today on Dani's panel, when he's like, well, in this moment, da-da-da-da-da. That's not totally untrue, but the bigger picture is that they created this scenario. You can't expect somebody to walk in front of a vehicle and not get hurt. Dani pointed out something very important earlier, which is part of their duty is to not put themselves in harm's way. And he did. So the bigger picture is you can't ignore that. You can't piecemeal this and put this in a nice square box to say, in that moment alone, blah, 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 blah. There's a much bigger picture. Okay, so the bigger picture for the incident is that they created an exigent situation that didn't need to and shouldn't have happened. Okay, Much bigger than that is what Sammy J mentioned, which is this is a long string of things. And this is because this regime, I refuse to call it an administration anymore.
I call it an organization.
Right?
I do. I call it like a criminal organization.
For real. It's literally like the mob organization. It's because this regime is encouraging that level of escalation, right?
Yeah.
Remember, 47 said, all we need is one really rough, police force. We don't need the DEA. We don't need the ATF. We don't need the FBI. We don't need all these. We just need a really rough police force. So that is their goal.
Yep.
Right. So our thing, in my opinion, our role as citizens is not to litigate the minutia of a single case, but to hold this regime accountable, hold these agencies accountable. That's what we're missing. The whole thing about them refusing to release evidence, the whole thing about them refusing to have an investigation, as Ayanna Pressley said, let's have an investigation, and enough Republicans voted that down.
Yep.
That is an issue. That is what we need, in my opinion. Instead of getting lost in the weeds, the bigger picture is this regime is encouraging this level of escalation. This regime is encouraging lack of investigation, lack of transparency, the very thing that they promised was supposed to be what their party was all about and this whole thing was all about, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying accept the situation. I'm not saying ignore it. All I'm saying is let's keep our eye on the target, which is as a people. The reason we have a force in numbers, let's address the things that we can handle to scale, which is like the bigger picture here. And this will continue. Again, we're not seeing the ones in detention, but they're still happening. Yeah. Those conditions haven't improved that we know of.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. More than 30 people. Those are the numbers that we know, right?
Right.
Yeah, Mo, we will. Yeah, Mo, we will. And in addition to that, so I do think that we have to focus on the bigger picture. And I think one of the things that I want people to be clear on is that when I make note of the policy that says don't put yourself in harm's way, right? You don't get to step in front of a moving vehicle and then say, oh, I had to kill you because you moved the vehicle, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Right. When I say those things, I say them from a policy standpoint, right? From a protocol standpoint, from a potential legal argument standpoint. I do not ever share them or say them, though, with the expectation that they're going to rule in our favor. And the reason why I don't ever do that is I'm not saying that they're not going to rule in the favor of the people or in the favor of what we believe to be right. What I know is that I said this earlier, and it sounds really horrible, but the justice system, folks, is not about justice. It never has been. And that sounds like such a horrible thing to say, but it is in fact the truth. If it wasn't so, you wouldn't have a dude like, what's his name, Brock Turner, who raped a girl that was unconscious by a dumpster, do 6 months in jail, and the judge say, "Oh, I don't want to ruin his college career because he seems like such a nice boy. He's got so much going for him," right? They're not interested in the justice part. And so I think that people really need to do not have expectations of a system that you don't get to control, right? I think there's a difference in knowing the evidence, being able to talk about all the possibilities, know the potential arguments coming from the opposition, because you have to know that, right? Also knowing that at the end of the day, I am always, me personally, as an individual, I'm always going to come down on the side of humanity and human beings and not taking lives because somebody ran over your big toe. Like, I just don't give a shit. I just don't. So I really want people to hear me when I say that. Do not set your heart and your expectations upon institutions, organizations, and governments that you don't get to control the outcome. I think you have to be able to know the facts for what they are, and then be about the business of doing the work to make the outcome be maybe not this outcome, but any outcome coming, that of what is best for all people later on down the road. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, and you know what? I know what's rough for me right now, Dani, is that people keep saying, like, don't worry, the midterms are coming. And I'm like, don't tell me as a citizen or even as a resident, I don't even want to use the word citizen, because even as a resident here in the United States, that I should have to wait another 10, 11 months for things to change when we're seeing our neighbors unalived.
Yeah.
And again, not just the ones in broad daylight, but also behind the scenes that we're not even aware of, because they've canceled oversight. They've disallowed oversight within those facilities. So there is a shit ton wrong.
Yeah.
But in these conversations, I hope this helps people with some of their emotional health and energy in the coming days and weeks, which is, instead of arguing how far away somebody's toe was away from the tire, to say, what are we doing about the big picture? Are we going to allow this to continue happening? Right? It's really, in my opinion, like, we have to stop this sooner than 10 months from now. I don't know what that needs to look like.
Yeah. So here's what I will say, just the way that can sound for some people is dismissive of the event itself. And I know that you don't intend for it to be, right?
Right.
People are going to say, yeah, but the event itself matters. And because so many people are tired of these arguments. Like, can you imagine that this country watched 4 police officers have their knee and their legs on a man's neck for almost 9 minutes, and people still wanted to talk about whether or not he was an addict? And the reality is, and I believe this with all of my heart, had he been a white man, nobody would have asked that question ever. It would have been his illness. It would have been his addiction, not that he was a criminal. And if I could just remind you all, Iron Man's a fucking criminal. Do y'all remember how many times Robert Downey Jr. had his ass in court for party favors and shit? Anybody remember? Because I do. But it's this reminder that if one person gets to be an addict when they use, then somebody else doesn't automatically get to be a criminal because they use. One person doesn't get to make mistakes because of their illness and their addiction, and other people are horrible people because of their addiction and the things that they do under that addiction. And the difference between that cannot be solely the color of their skin, right? There is a reason that the United States of America is not going after meth. that's in the like, whether y'all like it or not, it's so crazy. Even this is how much racism has infiltrated this country, is even the party favors are racist. We got party favors for Black communities and party favors for white communities. Ain't that some shit? That's how you want to know how racist you are as a country. Your damn party favors are broken down by race, right? I'm just, right. And the rich ones too. Powder versus rocks. You got it. Exactly. They really are though. And if we are being, so this is my thing. These are, Christine said, damn, never ever connected that dot. Black people have forever. Listen, when it was booger sugar, right? Which is predominantly white people, right? It's an illness. When it's a $10 rock, listen, 3 strikes, you're out. Go the fuck forever. You're a, you know what I'm saying? I can't begin to articulate to you all the number of Black and brown people that have been in prison for decades for weed. Like, for mowing their grass. Not a violent thing in their body, but for mowing their grass. And then as soon as the perception of the population about mowing your grass changed, and they were like, oh shit, well, everybody's cool with it now. White men said, how can we make money off of it? And then they opened a bunch of businesses selling the same shit they locked up Black people for. That just is a thing. That just is a thing. So when we have these conversations, Jen, what I would say is that, yes, we do need to focus on how do we stop them. But when you say we need to focus on the bigger picture and how do we stop it, it's going to come off so crazy for Black and brown people because we're like, what the fuck? So now we need to stop it. Now we need to focus on the big picture. We weren't doing strikes when it was Black and brown people with knees on necks and shit, or I can't breathe, right? People weren't talking about the problem with overzealous police officers and how much we need to fix things, right? When it was Black and brown people.
That's why I wanted to remind everybody what Sammy J said yesterday, because I think a lot of people do forget that this isn't the first time. This isn't the first incident. It's just the first one that was thrown in our faces so quickly.
It's just the first one that's a white girl.
Well, and also look how they're trying to spin that. Oh,
let me be clear, because if you remember a couple of months ago, we had an incident just like this, Jen, in Chicago. They just were brown people. It was a brown woman that the ICE agent called her a bitch and fired 7 rounds into her car and gave her 5 wounds. But she was brown. And so was the dude that was with her. This is just the first white woman.
Oh, yeah. And all I'm saying is my disappointment is that people are still saying we got to wait until midterms. And I'm saying I don't want to wait until midterms.
Right.
There's too many. And the trend is because of this administration. Well, again, because of this regime, right? They're encouraging this.
Right.
So I guess my whole thing is like, it all matters, and what they want is for us to be arguing about the tiniest of details so we forget about the big picture. So all I'm saying is, it's not like the details aren't important, but also keep our eye on the big picture, because we have bigger work to do than measuring, where somebody's foot was. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
And
so Let me
That's-
offer
yeah,
Anana
that's
in
really
Arizona.
missing.
Anana in Arizona said they've been calling strikes for over 6 months. Black and brown people have been dying since longer than 6 months ago. I can't. Listen, I need y'all to understand. So the fact that anybody even wants to give me an ounce of pushback on this means you're not hearing me. And if you're not hearing me, you might want to pay attention, because if you believe yourself to be an ally of Black and brown people, and you don't hear me saying to you that this is a sensitive, triggering subject to Black and brown people, because this shit been happening over here for a long ass minute, right? And everybody is up in arms today. Listen, how many times everybody listen, not only do y'all know, somebody tell me Sandra Bland's middle name. Somebody tell me Sandra Bland's middle name. Tell me Breonna Taylor's middle name. Tell me how long Sandra Bland lived in her city. Tell me how many children she has. Tell me how many marriages. We know more about Renee Nicole Goodman than damn near any Black woman I know that was murdered by the police. This is the way the media works. I did an entire podcast about this years ago, and I might need to do it again. But it's along the same lines of missing white woman syndrome. There is a phenomena that is fact-based in this country and around the world, where when something happens to white women, not only does it make the news cycle, but it stays in the news cycle. Not only does it make the news cycle and stay in the news cycle, you hear all the other things about it. Right, Cam, the world stops. Veronica, right, it becomes a movie. In order for that to happen for Black women, brown women, indigenous women, it's got to be some crazy, unique shit. Like there has to be 3 of them crawl out of a basement in a house in fucking Ohio. Like it's got to be some wild Silence of the Lambs shit for anybody to pay attention. I need for people to hear me when I say this. Because while I'm saying it, it is still Black and brown people going the hardest in the paint for Renee Good. Black and brown people going hard in the paint for her, harder than some white people, right? And at the same time, we're also saying, okay, wait, so all of a sudden now we want to redo every damn thing now because the threat has exceeded Black and brown neighborhoods. Now that the Gestapo is not just in the hood, everybody's real concerned. And that doesn't negate that there should be concerned. That doesn't negate that, yes, something must be done, but it also requires an awareness of what it took for people to pay the fuck attention and care. It's ICE for everybody else, but it's been regular ass police for Black and brown people this whole time. And do you know what's really crazy, y'all? You know what's really crazy? Is that was before this administration, this organization, this regime was doing what it did in the best of times when we didn't have administrations calling for brutal police forces. Do y'all understand that in the United States of America, it is voluntary? It is voluntary whether or not the police report their use of deadly force. Did you know that, y'all? They don't got to report it if they don't want to. And if the statistics are this fucking bad with voluntary participation, I wonder how bad it is for real. How is that real? It's real. Hold on and I'll show you. Hold on. Do law enforcement agencies have to provide use of deadly force statistics to federal database? No. This is just the AI overview. No. State and local law enforcement agencies are not federally mandated. It is not mandatory, Foobsy. No, it's not. I literally know the law. It's on the FBI's website. They are not federally mandated to provide use of deadly force statistics. It is voluntary. That's a fact. The FBI launched its national use of force data collection in 2019. That's when it was even launched. And agencies are, quote unquote, strongly encouraged to participate and even required to submit, quote unquote, zero reports. And if no incidents occurred in a given month, but there are no federal penalties for non-participation. Just so everybody knows, that's a real thing.
And Dani, actually what you're saying right now was my goal of what I was trying to say, is like the bigger picture is what gets lost when we focus on too much in the weeds.
But see,
right?
so I think the problem that I think the difficulty that people have, Jen, is when you say the bigger picture, because it's all part of the same picture.
That's what I'm saying.
I know, but it's the phrasing. When you say you got to focus on the bigger picture, what people hear is dismissance of this part of the picture. When we say it's the bigger picture, what people hear, and y'all correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, what people hear is the dismissal of this part of the picture.
Wow, it's like the opposite of what I meant.
I know, but that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's not your intention.
You know, my intention was actually exactly what you're saying, which is the bigger picture is the system at large. You know, and
what people are saying
said yesterday was all the people that are in detention are the Black and brown community, you know, primarily that are in there that we often forget about.
Right.
And that's what I don't want people to forget about.
And so the way that I would say it, because when you tell people not to focus on something, it sounds dismissive, right? And so if I were communicating it to people, the way that I would communicate it is I would say the absolute best use of our time is to say, listen, we see what happened, right? And yes, we can put out information as to what protocol is and all that, right? We just can't spend our time arguing about a court case that hasn't even happened yet. And we don't know if one will happen because we don't control the system, right? Salam Rima, right? So the best thing that we can do is know what happened here, because knowing what happened and how it happened here is how we help mitigate things in the future. And then figure out, okay, so what are the steps that we take to keep this, not just this from happening, but all of it?
Yes,
it has to include
saying exactly what I meant. I totally did not articulate it the way that, and I listen for anybody, and I appreciate you, Dani, for helping me, yeah, and help articulate it in the way that I think you know that I meant it.
I know that you meant it that way.
Yeah.
I just know there are other people that don't know how you meant it because they don't know you.
Yeah, and I apologize for how it came across, because I realize now, after seeing the chat and after Dani explaining to me how that sounded, and that is absolutely not the way I meant it. Dani's saying it the way that I meant it. I just did not say it the right way. So, yes, Dani, thank you very much for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I think what
exactly what I'm.
What people are wanting is an acknowledgement, right?
Yes.
people want, it's what I said yesterday to Sherry, is that it's so visceral, is because it's like now the black and brown issue matters because it happened to a white woman. And I'll be damned if she ain't even blonde. Like, maybe not natural. I don't know if she is or not, but I'll be damned. She ain't even like, it literally is like the way that people begin to care about what happens in black and brown people's lives is if it spills over into the world of white people. And that is what people want to be acknowledged. People want, like, black and brown people everywhere are like, we are down for this shit, right? And y'all need to acknowledge that the only reason that a bunch of the country is paying attention to this is because she white. That's it. That's it. Because we already had this happen to a brown woman just a couple of months ago. Just what, in October. This happened. She just happened to be brown. She just happened to be Hispanic. You ain't seen nobody, what news cycle? What? I actually had to go to local Chicago news to get the accurate stories and the verbiage from her attorneys because national news wasn't carrying it, and still isn't. And still isn't. Even though the officer is on the video calling her a bitch, like telling her he about to pop off. Right? And so I just think I think that that's the part, is that we can be all about moving forward and fixing things and addressing things at every level and at all scales. And as we do that, we have to acknowledge the people that have been victims of these same things for decades upon decades upon decades upon decades. And like I said to Sherry yesterday, I'm not making it a race thing. It is a race thing, and the statistics show that. I'm not making it about race if the disparities between the unalivings are racial. That means I can just read and comprehend what the data tells me, right? And so that's why,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
cool.
So thank you for helping me articulate that. I appreciate you for that. And so much for my nutshell version. Sorry for dragging that out. Boy.
Nah, all good.
I'm glad you don't have a hard stop, because I would have felt horrible for monopolizing that much time. So
nah, you're all good.
But thank you. I love you, and I love everybody in this community.
Love you back.
You guys know you mean a lot to me. And again, I can't say how much thank you for helping me out with that, because you knew what I meant, but I definitely wasn't coming across the right way. So
but that to me is part of it, right? That to me, yeah. Can I repeat how to articulate that again? Yeah. So it's just like, it's an acknowledgement. So when we articulate what we want to be doing, right, we have to make an acknowledgement. And so the quickest way that I would sum it up is, hey, listen, what occurred in Minnesota is absolutely horrendous. And it has woken up a lot of the country that this behavior is unacceptable. And we know that this has been happening in black and brown communities for decades upon decades upon decades. And I hate that it has taken it happening to this white woman to get it to this degree. And I'm also grateful that we are at this place now where we can all recognize that this has been a thing. How do we use this to not only change the policies and the procedures that allow this to happen, and how can I use this thing that has happened with Renee Nicole Goodman to educate and inform people about what's been happening? How can we do that so that people understand it's not a one-off?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
So
100%.
we got to be able to utilize what has happened in this situation to highlight what has been happening. And even something as simple as what I just did, yeah, that's her last name, is when I said, somebody tell me a black girl's middle name. Right? We all know Renee Nicole Good. Y'all know how old her kids are? I do. 15, 12, and 6. How many times she been married, y'all? twice, right? How long ago did she move to Minneapolis? Everybody knows. That is how in depth this story has got. The news reports have gone about her. You don't see that when it comes to Black and brown people, unless they have an arrest record, unless they have an addiction. Like, that's the only time you're gonna hear any kind of in-depth shit. You might hear if they got kids, if CPS has ever been called. You don't hear nobody talking about her having multiple babies with multiple daddies, do you? You don't hear shit. And therein lies the distinctions. And so I think it's just really important that we utilize the moment that we're in for furthering the education and the awareness of all of the issue, right? And so that's how we do it. Go ahead,
Can I
Jen.
ask your advice for one more thing?
Sure.
So I have learned recently that there's going to be an indivisible, I think it's mostly by Indivisible, it's on Mobilize, that this weekend there's supposed to be a bunch of
Vigils.
exhibitions. Yeah, vigils is a good way to put it, but whatever. And a lot of it is focused on Renee's situation.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself feeling a little bit resentful that it was being made so much about her and not the situation, like you said, but this has been happening. There's many more people who have been victimized than just her. And so I found myself feeling like, why is this just about her? And I want to use this opportunity. I'm going to be traveling, but I want to see if I can find an event near where I'm going. And I want to try to draw attention to that this isn't just about her and her situation. It is about all of the victims, right? And whatever. Do you have advice on what I could put on a sign or what I could say to people other than what you just said, which is fantastic? But I want to be able to also put it on a sign so that when people drive by and they're taking pictures, they can also be like, let me look at that later. Let me look into that. I want to.
Yeah, I would. So if it were me and I were making a sign, I would absolutely have her picture and her name. And then I would say one of many. And then I would have at least the names, if not the names and pictures, in order to personify them, right? Of 5 to 10 other people. And then at the very bottom, if you do a whole document, Jen, throw a QR code on it, right? But I would put her face and her name, and I would say one of many. And then I would have the other names and the other faces on there on both sides. But I would want other names and faces on the same side as hers.
Yeah. So it's not just about her on one whole side.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. And again, for people who are, when you're out there holding a sign, I know there's a lot of people taking videos and photographs. And I do want to, I'm not expecting to convince anybody with the sign any differently than they already feel, but I'm hoping it'll give somebody go, let me look into that later when I get home.
Or somebody say, who is that?
I'm hoping. Yeah. And so for anybody here who didn't know that there's stuff potentially going on this weekend, look it up. And maybe if you have the same goal, do something like what Dani's just suggesting. So thank you for that suggestion. See what I can pull together, because it's like literally tomorrow and Sunday. I think if you look at mobilize.us,
let me see if I can show you
local information, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. It's going to be around like lunchtime, I think was their suggestion for people. So anyway, if you didn't know about it, stuff is happening.
So let me give you this, because I'm all about the help. I'm all about the help. So I am right now putting in my link tree an article by The Guardian. This article is from January the 4th of 2026. It is 2025 was ICE's deadliest year in 2 decades. There are 32 people who died in custody. They have pictures of these people and their stories. So I will put this link in there because you can grab pictures where pictures are available. And it even has them broken down by dates. So January 23rd of last year, January 29th, February 20th, February 23rd, April 8th, April 16th, April 25th, May 5th, June 7th, June 23rd, June 26th, July 19th, August 5th, August 31st. Like literally, I'm putting it in my link tree right now. And it's the 32 that we know of.
Perfect. Yeah, that we know of. That's another key thing, right? Because they're not allowing any oversight or anything like that. So yeah, this is just probably a glimpse.
Yeah.
You know? Just
Yeah.
the surface.
It's almost every month. You know what I mean? And so we know that there are more, you guys, right? We know that. But it's about beginning to make these connections so that people can start to kind of open it up. You know what I mean? Like that's the part that's necessary.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to look at that link and print some pictures.
Come on, Titan.
And make sure that we get the awareness out there as much as we can. So.
100%. You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, drop me down. Love you guys.
Love you too.
And thank you guys for the gifts. I appreciate the support.
All right, so let me just do this. So folks, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep my panel full like it is. I'm also going to begin to bring up people that are between the river and the sea. When people come up to this panel that are between the river and the sea, you all know the drill. If you can assist with your magic beans, do so. Okay. Before I just do that really quickly, let me go ahead and bring John Schwartz. Would you like to join the panel? If you would like to join the panel, I'm happy to have this conversation with you. I'm not going to go back and forth in the comments though. We do have 2 new babies. If you are in Discord, I have put the picture of the twins in the Discord along with Muhammad OS's link. It's mobilize.us. Mobilize.us is the site for all things organizing, typically for independent or democratic individuals. You can literally search for events near you. You can put in your zip code and it will pull up anything that's happening in your area. Everybody is well right now. His wife is just extremely tired. And the way that they are all unaliving, John, if you really want to know that, yes, Laura, they are in a tent. When she gets out of the hospital, they'll be back in a tent. Yes. John, if you want to know how all 32 of them unalived, I would recommend going to my link tree, clicking the article that I just told you about and reading. And then you can find that out. Because I'm not going to go over all 32 people for you, sir. You can read. Just click the link and go find out for yourself. That's not my job. Okay. Give me 1 second so I can finish. Titan, you are doing the most right now, sir. Stop. Listen, I can't stand it when I'm trying to do something and he moves my hand with his nose because he wants my attention. Stop it. I need to be able to type, son. He's the most. The most. Okay. Yeah. I'm just like, if you don't stop trying to get me out of the way. Okay. So very quick. Okay. I am doing this. Hold on. I'm helping my daughter with something, y'all. You got to give me 2 seconds. Peeps, just 2 seconds. Stop. Oh my word. Or don't. Stop, Titan, or don't. Okay, I just have to quit with what I got. Yeah, I'm just saying, Steffi G, 100%. 100%. Okay. All right. So, Merlot, you want to hop on in here? What you got?
I don't have much, but everybody pretty much stole a lot of my thunder, but it's okay. There's a lot of good things. But I was like, damn, that was my other point.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. So I was curious about, because I looked it up on the AI crap that they're giving us.
Yeah.
And they said ICE agents have the ability to perform Terry stops, which are traffic stops.
Mm-hmm.
In my understanding, it might not be that, but is that true that they can perform traffic stops? Because like the way they stopped her, I was like, well, that would be a traffic stop. Like that's not an immigration thing.
So
That's a
the thing
traffic
about it
stop that
is,
you're performing,
right, but the
lady.
traffic stop has to be that that they have a reasonable suspicion or probable cause related to immigration violations, right? So it's not that that they can just do it for no reason. No, they're supposed to have a reasonable suspicion of an actual that's something that's related to an immigration violation.
So I guess my next question is, what was the reasonable suspicion? Because she was waving them around. Like
I wouldn't even think that I wouldn't know that
around her.
Yeah, I wouldn't know that though. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know what they're gonna say their reasonable suspicion is, but the bottom line is we know that they use accents, they use skin tone, they use a bunch of shit to determine when they're pulling people over, things that aren't necessarily legal. So stop you.
I get
Yeah.
She was a
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But like I get that, but like at the same time, like they saw she was a what you know what I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
They saw she was a woman, so it was like what?
Yeah, but it don't matter. I mean, if they think that she's,
I mean, I know what they're doing.
Yeah, if they're there in defense. So here, I think this is what I want people to really understand. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to equate this to Israel. The IDF doesn't give a shit if you are Muslim, Christian, or Jewish, if you're Palestinian. Okay? So ICE doesn't give a shit if you are, if they believe that you are in any way, shape, or form against what they are doing and protective of Black and brown people, it doesn't matter. You might as well just be one of them. Yeah, I know Rachel Corey and what happened to her, 100%. Yeah, I know. I heard, Scotty.
So my understanding is that they saw her as I know people don't like this term, but they saw her as a race traitor, and they were just like, oh, okay, cool.
I don't know. I'm not in their brain. You know what I mean? So that when people say things like that, they're speculating, right? And so I don't know if that's how they saw her or not. What I know is that historically speaking, when white people work on behalf of Black and brown people and they advocate for them and they are activists for them, then they tend to be treated the same way as those other people, right? They can still get it, right, Cam? So I'm not going to ever speak to what the ICE agents were thinking because I don't know. What I know is that historically speaking, when it comes to law enforcement agents of any kind, whether they are local, state, or federal, when someone has been the advocate, when a white person has been the advocate for Black and brown people, they can get it. So I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave it with this, but I totally understand. And I'm going to go here with this with you, but this is my personal opinion. But when I watched Insider and Business Insider of how neo-Nazi.
Don't say that word 3 times.
Worked.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
I said not him. I saying it 3 times.
I said Yahtzee that last time.
Okay, got you. I was like, go ahead though.
Sorry about that. But when I watched that, like I really kind of like got an understanding of where all this is coming from, and I was just kind of like, oh, like they think everybody is against them
because most people are.
When they see our protests, well, we are, but when they see our protests, it reconfirms like their understanding that everybody's against us. We gotta fight, and we gotta do whatever it takes to protect whatever our ideology is, and that's how I kind of understand them a little bit. They're still wrong, but like I kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit. You know, it's not a good place that they're coming from, but they think they've been taught everybody is against them, and they see Black and brown people, they see LGBTQIA, and they see enemy. That's all they see. And so whenever we in good faith protest against what's actually wrong, all they see is, oh, you're reconfirming what I believe. You're reconfirming that I'm under attack. I'm under attack. They're all coming to get me, and they're coming to wipe me out. That's my thought.
Yeah,
So,
I hear you. Yeah, and I think that's because that's the role that that's the position that they have taken. You know what I mean? For a while now. But yeah, no, I hear you. I hear exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, so let me do this. I'm gonna do. Sorry, we had a delay.
That's okay. I'm trying to disconnect.
No, I got you, Merlot. Well, damn, then it was gone. Okay, so listen, I am going to open up spots, folks, and bring up my folks that are between the river and the sea as I also go down this panel. So if you are in the Discord, Muhammad OS, the pictures of the babies are there, as well as his stuff, right? They're already there. I'm also going to bring him up here in case you're not in my Discord and you want to be able to do something. I'm also going to do the only other person that I see between the river and the sea is our school teacher friend, Ahmed Darari, who teaches the Speak Up School for our kids in Gaza. Salam, Mohammed.
Salam, Dani. How are you?
I'm good. Congratulations on the babies.
Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Dani. Alhamdulillah.
You hear Osama laughing?
Alhamdulillah. Is Osama?
Oh, yeah.
Osama.
He said Osama is very, very happy and wants to stay by their side. I love that.
And I am so sorry. Internet is very, very bad.
Yeah, the internet is bad. I know.
Thank you, Allah. Thank you all. Thank you, Allah. Thank you. Shukran, Allah.
Okay, give me a second. Mohammed, check WhatsApp.
I love you all.
He'll go check WhatsApp. Check WhatsApp. So the top and bottom boxes, folks, those are the folks that you can do magic beans. Okay. All right. I got within one heart. What you got for me?
I don't know if I can follow any of the
eloquent Dani. Thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations, Mohammed. I think a lot, and I'm going to put all my personal feelings about black and brown and race and everything else aside for a minute. It's called empathy, guys. If you can imagine being in a car surrounded by law enforcement, regardless of who they are.
Right.
and not get nervous and not get scared. And really, you can't determine how you would act because you have to be in that circumstance. But if you add that to being brown or black and a woman, then you have even more reason to fear. And if people can't feel that at the very core of being human, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Does it matter if she was intending?
He's okay.
If she was intending or not intending, or what his motives were, none of that matters. It's the fear that's going through your body at that moment.
Yeah.
And how could you not have empathy for that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Dani. As
Yeah.
always, you are an inspiration.
Yeah, you're welcome, Edith. Good to see you, friend. Yeah, I think baby Muhammad is tired. Baby Osama is also tired. Osama said, he said that he's very, very happy and he just wants to stay beside the twins all the time. So we love that. Into Galbi, Osama. Into Galbi, Habibi. Okay, I got. Osama says, stop putting me up there. Jen the vet.
Hey, Dani.
Hey, what's up? What you got for me?
I didn't know if he was trying to say something.
The internet's bad, so don't worry about it.
So I noticed the trend, and it's just starting to emerge, and it's probably been happening. But if you look at the Renee Good case, and then what happened in Portland yesterday, there is a term within law enforcement called deliberate indifference.
Mm-hmm.
When you know somebody is hurt and you do not give medical attention.
Yes.
And it is a legal term, and you can be prosecuted for it.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make everybody aware of that. As somebody who did law enforcement in the military and on the civilian side, I'm having a really tough time right now.
I would imagine.
My heart is broken.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed.
Well, I think that's a solid emotion to have, Jen. I think people talking about how devastated and sad and how heartbroken, I don't have that reaction. My heart was broken over this country years ago, right? I'm not heartbroken anymore. I'm pissed that things are the way they are. And I'm pissed at the ridiculous human beings that perpetuate what we have. Like those people, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also, and I've kind of drawn a line in the sand and put up some boundaries because of the willful indifference and ignorance when you can see it.
Yeah, 100%.
The circle that I have is super small now because I've tried to have those conversations, and today with that guy, you just get to a point where you're not going to get anywhere. You just have to kind of let it go.
And here's the difference between that guy and Sherry for me, and why I engaged in both conversations for as long as I did. Mm-hmm. With Sherry, I engaged in the conversation for as long as I did, not only for the hundreds of other people in the room, but also for Sherry, right?
Right.
For him, I am only entertaining his ass because of the hundreds of other people in the room.
Right.
It is not for him. And if there's a seed that's planted, great. If there's a seed that's not, I just I don't even care. If you end up with a benefit of some kind, then cool. But it's not even, you're not the focus.
Yeah. I've been very selective in when I want to use my mental and physical capabilities to try to have that conversation with somebody because it hasn't gotten me very far.
Yeah.
And especially where I live in Ohio, it's completely red and it's just ridiculous.
I know lots of Dems in Ohio, so if you want me to put you in touch, let me know.
Hey, I'm always willing.
I gotta. So this is my thing, folks. I want you to remember when everyone says my state's completely red, most of the time that's just not true. What is true in many, many cases is that there are lots of progressives in that state that keep quiet, maybe because they're scared, maybe because they feel like they are also a dot in a sea, right?
Yep.
Oftentimes the votes look like that, but it's because there are people that are just simply not voting, right? I don't believe that the vast majority of this country supports this administration, because if they did, the election would have been different. Right. And so because of that, that's where I focus. You know what I mean? So yeah, there are tons of blue places. Yeah, we did. The internet is really bad. So let me just say this, folks. The internet is really bad. Mohammed OS said that already. But if you go on my Discord, there's a way to directly reach him. And I put the pics of the newborns in there. I put the pics in there too that he sent me, just so everybody has them. Okay. So TikTok, I want you to hold on for just 1 second. Okay. This side of the world, the backup TikTok, the gram, the stack of the sub, the tube of the U, and the book of the faces. Am I on the book of the faces, or did I miss y'all today? Oh shit, I did, y'all. I thought I added the book of the faces, and I did not. It's okay. It just must be meant to be what it is. I'm like, what the hell? Okay. But anyway, love y'all, mean it. I'm going to shut this side down. I'm going to take a quick mod break. Yeah. Audra, somebody should have let me know. I really thought I had, but no, I did not. I just happened to look up there and I was like, oh, I'm missing a platform.
You can drop me down for someone else from the river to the sea.
Of course, because that's what you always do. I know, but love and appreciate you guys. So you guys, yeah, I love you, mean it. Appreciate you for